Wales. A broader amber warning area also in place covering most of England and Wales. Yes, another hot and sunny day for the majority. A little bit cooler maybe along the south coast and some mist and low cloud along the east coast. More comfortable conditions for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Plenty of sunshine here, the main exception being the far north where the rain could turn heavier later on. Temperatures across Scotland low to mid-20s, perhaps further south we're talking mid-30s, maybe high 30s inland over parts of the Midlands, southeast Wales and southern England. The humidity is also high, hence the health risk. That's why we've got the warnings in place. Some heavy downpours also possible later across northern Scotland. This zone of wet weather likely to pep up through the course of the day, but sunny spells through central and eastern Scotland. It's a pretty warm day here. 1 or 2 showers possible in Northern Ireland. For most of England and Wales, it's hot and sunny. The coast's a little cooler, but later in the day, the threat of thundery showers coming up from the south, from France into the Channel Islands, then potentially into southwest England, where we have a Met Office yellow warning in place. Some really lively gusts of wind, along with a lot of flashes of lightning associated with those thundery showers, which may then spread more widely. So some big downpours possible. You may get woken up by a flash of lightning or a rumble of thunder. You may not be sleeping anyway because of the temperatures. Again, a very warm and humid night. Heat warning. The amber extreme heat warning is in place now for central and eastern England on Friday. Could be some early showers here. Some heavy downpours possible again for Scotland and Northern Ireland, where it will be that bit cooler. Turning a little cooler in western parts of England and Wales tomorrow as well, but still over central and eastern England with the sun beating down. Temperatures could again get into the mid to high 30s. Full details of all our warnings on the Met Office website.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Harwood. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 12 o'clock on Thursday, the 25th of June. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Emily Carver. Well, Rachel Reeves says she has unfinished business in what some are describing as a desperate bid to keep her job as Chancellor.
It all comes as it's reported that net zero fanatic Ed Miliband is advising Andy Burnham on economic policy behind the scenes.
Elsewhere, US President Donald Trump tells GB News Andy Burnham is extremely liberal when asked about the so-called Prime Minister in waiting.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Back here at home, an immediate hosepipe ban has been imposed on almost 1 million people after the hottest June day on record, as South East Water urges people to only use water for essential needs.
Yes, it's heating up across the UK and the rest of Europe. It's currently 29 degrees in central London.
Elsewhere, supermarket chaos as fridges break down at major supermarkets across Britain, including M&S and Sainsbury's, amid the red heat warning. And the Prime Minister has just confirmed there are Cobra meetings taking place at the official level.
And yes, Brits have been ordered by some councils to remove air conditioning from their own homes under a fresh net zero crackdown.
More than 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals are on the loose in Britain after dropping off the Home Office radar. Meanwhile, the government has failed to deport almost 150,000 migrants over outstanding human rights claims.
Well, in tragic news, at least 164 people are dead and nearly 1,000 injured after a devastating double earthquake hit Venezuela. We'll bring you the latest.
And in other news, David Beckham was spotted in the crowd last night enjoying a rather large glass of red wine, just as Brazil took the lead against Scotland.
Yeah, awkward timing.
Why do so many people hate air conditioning?
It's green people, isn't it, really? Or people who can't afford it, or people who don't like the aesthetic on the outside of a building.
But it's a modern miracle technology. And in Geneva, the Swiss canton of Geneva, you need a doctor's note to install air conditioning. In France, there is now raging a political battle between left and right. The right says we need to install more air conditioning, people are dying in the heat, and the left is saying, no, this is bad for the climate.
Well, yeah, it uses a lot of energy, so I guess that's what they're saying.
But France makes almost all of its electricity from nuclear power, which is completely carbon neutral.
Well,
it's an absurd battle.
It does seem like people are just going to install their own very soon. I mean, it is quite expensive, but if you buy it in the winter, it's cheaper, remarkably.
Yeah, this is what I said to myself last year. I said, I'm going to buy some air conditioning when it's cold. It gets to being cold, and you know what? You've got competing demands on what you should spend your money on. And you sort of forget that you were ever
you need to spend it on
hot.
Christmas presents, don't you?
Yeah.
Not air conditioning for the future summer you hadn't thought about yet. But it is ridiculous that local councils are getting involved and trying to stop people having this aircon, telling you to rip it out, as if someone's going to invest in a system to cool their home and then rip it out just because a man with a clipboard comes around, but maybe they're forced to. Anyway, hosepipe bans too.
Yeah.
South East Water's not doing very well. Apparently they don't have enough water to sort of refill their storage at the moment and keep it going. Would you snitch on your neighbour if you saw them using their hosepipe?
No, I would snitch on my neighbour if my neighbour was one of the many, many people in this country who've been campaigning against new reservoirs. We haven't built a reservoir in 30 years in this country and the population's grown by about 15 million people.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to have a paddling pool now, or fill it up, I suppose. That's nice, isn't it?
I don't understand why people would oppose reservoirs. They're lovely. You can go sailing on them. They're great for wildlife. I mean, they improve an area, and yet people are opposed to... There are massive campaigns that have stopped any reservoir being built, even though some of the water companies have been trying to build these things. They haven't been able to. It's nuts.
Well, anyway, we've got Cobra meeting officials on the case to try and solve our future heat waves. So we can all rest assured that come next year, when it gets hot again, everything will be going swimmingly.
Cobra meetings sound so scary or dramatic, but all it is Cabinet Office Briefing Room A.
Yeah, but it's the Cobra meeting. It's what we do when there's a terrorist attack or a heat wave.
Goodness me. Well, what do you think about all of this? gbnews.com/yoursay is the way to get involved. That is if you're not too dripping in sweat to type on your keyboard. We'll get to all of that after your latest news headlines with Tatiana.
Tom, Emily, thank you and good afternoon. The top story. Sir Keir Starmer says officials are holding Cobra meetings to coordinate the response to the current hot weather. A red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales has now been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday. The warning means there's a risk of health impacts across the population and possible transport disruption. Police have also confirmed today a man has died after going into the sea on a popular Welsh beach. Meanwhile, South East Water says a hosepipe ban is introduced for around 850,000 customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water. The warmest June night on record in the UK saw 36.1 degrees recorded in Hampshire yesterday.
Look, it is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having Cobra meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say, take care, be sensible with precautions.
Rachel Reeves says she is backing Andy Burnham to be the next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has weighed in on Sir Keir Starmer's potential replacement with a question from GB News' Bev Turner.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal. I have had every oil company come to see me. Sir, could you give us access to the UK? We would do anything to drill in the North Sea. And they haven't even found what's there. The amazing thing is they buy their oil from Norway, which gets the oil from the North Sea. Think of it. And they pay a big premium. Norway's got now $2 trillion in the bank, and UK is dying. So they should open up the North Sea. It's an easy one, and a lot of good things are going to happen.
A person has died and a child is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after their car was struck by a train at a level crossing. The British Transport Police says it happened this morning at a crossing on Station Road in Houghton, near Preston in Lancashire. There have been no other injuries reported from passengers or staff on the train at this time. Elsewhere, at least 164 people have been killed and hundreds more are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Rescuers are coming from other countries to assist with the search, including from the US, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the country is immediately deploying resources. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the teams qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. After all, no Scotland, no party. Those are the latest headlines. Here's the finance.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Going through the ceiling, finding the floor. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.32 and 1.16 euros. The price of gold is £3,027 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 is at 10,491 points.
GB News Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Tom, Elizabeth's got in touch.
Oh, yeah?
She says, Tom, shut up about the air conditioning. I'm sorry, guys. He's not going to stop banging on about air conditioning until it starts raining.
I'm not...
He is obsessed. In the break, he was just tweeting about air conditioning. Some stats from America.
87% of American households have air conditioners. Just 14% of British households have any form of air conditioning at all, even the portable ones.
Like, the obsession is real, guys.
And yet we have planning policy in this country that discourages new builds from...
Yeah, John says, Emily, throw a bucket of ice over Tom.
A nice cool bucket of ice.
A nice cool bucket of ice to keep you, a lot of you not impressed about the fact we're having Cobra meetings as well for the warm weather, as you say. Sean says, get a grip, it will be average temperature by next week. Walker says, Cobra meeting to decide on advice to give regarding warm weather. Give me a break. The list goes on, keep them coming.
Yeah.
It does seem a little extreme.
Although, I mean, there are some legitimate concerns about, I mean, if it gets...
Like railways?
Yeah, if it gets really, really hot, our railways are designed for a certain temperature. They have gaps in between the tracks, which makes the clickety-clickety-clickety sound of a train. Speaking of which, do you know why all of the trains in Germany are very, very polite?
No, I don't, Tom.
Dankeschön, bitteschön, Dankeschön, bitteschön, Dankeschön, bitteschön. It's the noise of a train.
Right.
Thank
well,
you.
When I was in Bavaria once, I got told off by a gun-touting police officer because I put my foot on the chair. So I learnt my lesson.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway. Yeah,
well,
there we go.
Clearly, very
Anything goes on our trains.
Very polite trains in Germany. But no, there is a legitimate concern that, you know, the gaps in between the rails are such to expand up to a certain temperature. And if it gets over that certain temperature, the rails could buckle.
All right, let's get back to air conditioning. No, let's turn to Rachel Reeves, because she said she has unfinished business in what some are seeing as a desperate bid to keep her job as Chancellor.
Well, it comes as it's reported that net zero fanatic Ed Miliband is advising Andy Burnham on economic policy behind the scenes.
Yeah, believe it or not. Anyway, meanwhile, President Donald Trump has issued an unfavourable assessment of Andy Burnham, the frontrunner to be Britain's next Prime Minister.
Well, when asked by GB News' very own Bev Turner last night, the American president said he was unfamiliar with the former mayor of Greater Manchester and expressed scepticism about his energy policies.
But who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Yeah, so Andy Burnham faces a tricky task to win over the president and repair the special relationship which has come under quite a bit of strain towards the end of Sir Keir Starmer's premiership. Also, I think Andy Burnham, if you look back at his tweets, perhaps we can bring them up in a little bit, he's said some things about Donald Trump in the past, as they all have.
Quite a lot of it. He said a lot more than Keir Starmer ever said, actually, about Donald Trump. But let's speak to Olivia Utley now, our political correspondent, because, Olivia, the longer this sort of is... Can we call it a leadership election? It's not really that if there's only one candidate. But the longer it goes on, the more people will be expecting to hear, what does Andy Burnham actually stand for?
Well, absolutely, and it's quite an unusual situation. Andy Burnham hasn't been a minister in this government. He hasn't been in Westminster for the last decade. As Mayor of Manchester, he didn't receive much scrutiny. It's very, very different from being a minister in the House of Commons. There isn't an opposition, so to speak. And now it looks as though he's going to be in Downing Street in just 3 weeks' time without even the scrutiny of a leadership election. So it's a really, really unusual situation. I think that's partly why there is so much speculation and commentary on who his cabinet will be, because that will give us some sort of insight into the Prime Minister that he would like to be. I think it is very safe to say that Rachel Reeves is desperately trying to cling on to her job, saying that she's a close friend of Andy Burnham, that she's got unfinished business. For Burnham, there would be some advantages to keeping Reeves. She's managed to steady the markets because of her very tight fiscal rules. But the problem with Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer on an economic front is that the 2024 manifesto, combined with the commitments that they've made since, have really hemmed them into a fiscal corner. They pledged not to raise taxes on ordinary working people. That has made it very difficult to do any spending. So I suspect that Andy Burnham will want to put his own stamp on the chancellorship. Will that be Ed Miliband, Wes Streeting? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, it does seem like Ed Miliband, according to reports, is very much involved behind the scenes in terms of talking about an economic policy. Now, Ed Miliband, very, very concerned by climate change, absolutely loves net zero, a lot of policies that cost us a lot of money. If he was in charge of the Treasury, God knows how much would be spent and on what.
Well, I think that's a really good question, Emily, and actually there are some suggestions that Andy Burnham is aware of that danger and is minded not to appoint Ed Miliband as the Chancellor. It would definitely spook the markets, and also, very interestingly, there are a number of unions who are sceptical about Ed Miliband. Obviously, his net zero zealotry, if we can call it that, runs the risk of jobs being cut in industrial sectors, particularly in the north, and that is not something that the unions want to see. So in some ways he wouldn't be a popular choice. That said, he is very popular among the Labour membership, and it would show the left of the party that Andy Burnham is on their side. I think because we at the moment are so unclear in what Andy Burnham stands for, every sort of faction of the party is making a bid to get their man into the cabinet. It's going to be a really, really tough choice for Andy Burnham. I've just been at the Prime Minister's lobby briefing. The Prime Minister has said that he won't be commenting on the sidelines. He won't be giving Andy Burnham any advice. That might come as a relief to the incoming Prime Minister.
Well, Olivia Utley from a rather windy Downing Street. That must actually be nice in this temperature. Thanks indeed for joining us.
Oh yeah, I can hear it, the little wind tunnel there is there. Shall we speak to the political editor at The Critic, Henry Hill? Henry, it seems there's been a little bit of a Burnham bounce, but also I've noticed that the Tories might be gaining support.
Yeah, slowly but surely, having thrown away their position in second place at the beginning of this parliament, they are now very slowly starting to claw it back. It's taking a long time, but supporters of Kemi Badenoch will suggest that this means that the plan is working. Whether or not it continues is another question. The Burnham bounce, though, is really interesting. We often see this. Somebody new comes in. They haven't had to make any unpopular decisions yet. People mostly know them from sort of popular, flattering media coverage, extremely popular. How long is it going to last, though? If you're Andy Burnham, you haven't yet had to make any decisions on immigration. You haven't had to make decisions on tax. Do you try and cash this in to go for an early election? Would your MPs in marginal seats like this? It's a fascinating to see how long this, which I think is an artifact of the fact that he hasn't had to take any responsibility, actually lasts once he gets into Downing Street.
I mean, he's quite a blank canvas as things stand, and it seems like outriders are sort of almost trying to define what he stands for before he does. We're hearing Ed Miliband is there on economic policy, but then we're also hearing that Wes Streeting, someone who does not share the same politics as Ed Miliband, is a putative chancellor for Andy Burnham. I mean, frankly, it's really quite difficult to forecast where Andy Burnham is actually going to stand on a lot of these heavy economic issues.
Yeah, this happens a lot. It happened under the Conservatives, for example, where you've got a slogan, but you don't have a substantive agenda behind it. And so what people do, quite cannily, is they try and insert themselves into your agenda. This was really bad with levelling up, right? Boris Johnson said he was big on levelling up. There wasn't really a theory of what levelling up was. So everybody took their favourite idea and branded it levelling up somehow. This is much the same thing. Andy Burnham, on most of the normal core political questions that we've been talking about, he doesn't have strong opinions. He's never evidenced strong opinions. The areas where he does show strong opinions is basically regionalism, right? He's talking about trying to move part of the Downing Street operation to Manchester. He's talking about passing a quote-unquote basic law, which means that every single thing done by the Treasury has to reduce regional inequality. I think he really believes in that stuff, but the rest of it, I don't think he has strong views. And that does mean that he can end up U-turning because he says something to one person and then finds out it's unpopular and says something else. But it also means that strong-willed advisors do have a chance here to basically set the terms for large parts of his agenda.
All right, Henry Hill, thank you very much indeed, political editor at The Critic. Yeah, this sort of moving number 10 up north, well, to Manchester. I mean, a lot of people up north are saying, Manchester, the north is not just Manchester. Come on.
But also,
what about the northeast?
But also, I mean, one of the big differences in this country isn't just north-south. It's big metropolitan city full of graduates versus towns and other parts of the country that have very different sort of views? And are you actually going to get a particularly different view in the centre of a large, several million strong city full of graduates, whether that's called London or called Manchester?
Yeah, just a change in accent. Why not actually change the policy development? Anyway, should children go to school during a heatwave?
Well, a teaching union has said it's sensible to review changing the hours of the school day and even the time of the school year due to these hot temperatures.
Yes, this after the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson said today that the school timetable needs to be kept under review, considering these extreme temperatures. Sir Keir Starmer has been outlining the government's plan for schools.
It is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say, take care, be sensible with precautions.
Yeah, it's worth noting that a lot of areas of the United Kingdom at the moment are not boiling hot. There's a lot of places where it's just a cool sort of 21 degrees.
Is that cool?
Yeah, nice and cool. Well, it's a lot cooler than 36, Tom.
That's certainly true.
Anyway, GBNews reporter Isabel Fekilak joins us live from Bournemouth. Isabel, talking about the school day, can you spot any school children who perhaps aren't at school today?
Yes, good afternoon, guys. Definitely quite a few kids out here playing in the sand, playing in the ocean, on some inflatables, making sandcastles, definitely making the most of the heat. You can see just how busy the beach is here in Bournemouth. Lots of people soaking up the sunshine as that red heat alert has now been extended to tomorrow. Hi, sir. You look like you're really enjoying the sunshine here.
Oh, it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. Where else could you be?
At the beach is the best place to be.
Well, yes, because there's nowhere in town.
And I have to say, guys, I've got my toes in the water here. Normally it's quite a shock to the system, the British seas, but this is lovely and warm.
It's warm now, yes. I mean, you still have to be very careful for the cold.
Yes, there's lots of lifeguards about.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't swim here, this bit. The current's too strong.
Yeah, important to stay safe as well. Thank you.
It's lovely. And in the week, it's not busy.
It's certainly very packed today. Thank you so much, sir. I'm just going to come over here because there's so many people on this beach and we want to speak to as many as possible. Hi, guys. How are you today? Enjoying the sunshine?
We love the sunshine. It's a lovely day.
You guys have come, you told me earlier, from Canada. What does the British heat compare to over there?
Well, it's much more humid, and the British people aren't prepared. You don't have air conditioning in a hotel, and we're sweating on the buses and the trains, but overall it's been lovely being here.
So do you think Brits need to kind of up the ante on the air conditioning?
Yes, I think so. I think they've got to understand that climate change is here. It's going to get warmer. We need to get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the beach here in Bournemouth, beautiful sands. I mean, what do you make of it?
It's gorgeous. It's wide. The water's lovely, hey?
And it's just like where you were born.
Yes, in Brighton.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine. We're here all day in Bournemouth talking to lots of people who are lucky enough to not be working and here enjoying the sunny weather.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Tom was very excited indeed when air conditioning was mentioned by that lovely lady.
Absolutely, cheering her on every step of the way.
Gosh, yes, it must be very warm indeed in a Bournemouth hotel room.
Yeah.
Thanks, Isabel. Great stuff. I loved how she was having a little paddle herself.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground journalism, that is.
Very, very good. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more still to come.
Yes, breaking overnight, a double earthquake hits Venezuela with mass casualties. We'll have the latest.
Well, all of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 26 minutes past midday. Now, a hosepipe ban has been imposed on almost 1 million Brits in Kent after the hottest June day on record.
Yes, this is South East Water, and they're warning drinking water is being drawn from storage tanks faster than it can be treated and refilled. And now you're only allowed to use water for essential needs like hygiene.
How is it the case?
So you're allowed to shower, so that's OK.
That Middle Eastern countries don't have hosepipe bans, and we in the Northern Hemisphere do? It's nuts.
I don't know, but South East Water aren't doing very well, are they? GB News national reporter Will Godley joins us live from Kent. Will, I imagine residents with nice gardens aren't best pleased.
Well, absolutely not. Good afternoon to both of you. Of course, Kent is very leafy, and the people who live here have houses with lovely big gardens in, but they might begin to look a little bit more parched and brown over the coming few days, of course, as this hosepipe ban is introduced. It's not the only bit of news that Kent residents have received today when it comes to the heatwave. Of course, the other bit of news is that this red extreme heat warning introduced by the Met Office has been extended from beyond midnight tonight, when it was due to end, into tomorrow. It's now finishing 9 p.m. tomorrow. But people here who I've been speaking to far more disappointed at the fact this hosepipe ban has been introduced. Now, it's South East Water. They have 850,000 customers who now won't be able to use a hosepipe because South East Water say it's due to high temperatures and record demand for water. They can't keep up with the amount that water is being used here. They say they've already introduced an extra 100 million litres into the system, but it's just being used far too quickly, and their system's already at maximum capacity. Well, this is what people here have been telling me.
mean, that's kind of common nowadays, hosepipe bans. I think they're normal and you get used to it. It's a bit of a pain for people to carry, buckets and like watering cans, that's the ones, around, but it's not too much of a problem.
I'm always rather dubious whether there's not enough water around. This is the UK. We just had a whole week of virtual nearly flooding. So my view on that is, puzzling.
Yeah, it's not so good. It's not so easy to keep cool when you're trying to limit water. Yeah, but we're being sensible, I guess. Yeah.
So this hosepipe ban, what does it mean for people here in Kent? Well, South East Water has said people shouldn't use hosepipes to water gardens, washing cars, patios, boats, and they can't fill swimming pools or even paddling pools in their garden if they want to stay cool. And anyone found to be using a hosepipe after the 3rd of July faces a £1,000 fine. Ooh. But when it comes to people's gardens, they can still use watering cans to maybe water plants, but hey, you don't want to use a hosepipe if you're getting a £1,000 fine.
Goodness. No, I'm sure there'll be lots of curtain twitchers around as well. Ready to get on the phone to the council. Will Godley, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the warmth down in Kent. I know you've been all around the country for us this week. Fantastic stuff.
Absolutely, and don't get caught with a hosepipe.
Don't get caught with a hosepipe. It is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? You know what? It's going to be raining this weekend in Kent. So I think the hosepipe ban will be over in a bit. But only use, water for drinking and cleaning yourself.
Yeah, not for your hydrangeas. Now, new Home Office figures have revealed that more than 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals have gone missing in Britain.
Yeah, so an investigation by The Telegraph found that 1,200 foreign national offenders are among those who have escaped from immigration enforcement or breached their bail conditions.
Well, it all comes as Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, for now at least, prepares to introduce new legislation next week aimed at making it harder for migrants to use human rights laws to block deportation.
Well, joining us now is political strategist Pablo Ohana. Pablo, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this one. Yes, the Home Secretary, to her credit, is trying to clamp down in a number of ways when it comes to illegal migration, people overstaying their visas, foreign offenders, etc., etc. She wants to have a look at some of the abuse of human rights laws. But we've got Andy Burnham, our likely next Prime Minister, haven't we, in this country? And there's already been reports that he's looking at watering down the Home Secretary's reforms.
Yeah, I mean, I think the figure is obviously concerning, but it is important first to note that the figure includes anyone who has missed bail reporting condition or can't be reached by phone or email. So it covers sort of everything from failed asylum seekers who moved without, updating an address, to foreign national criminals. To their credit, the number of foreign national offenders is actually down. So it has fallen from around 1,200 to 730, which is obviously still too many. And as you say, Andy Burnham coming in, he's going to have to get grips with it pretty quickly. But it is important to kind of keep that sort of 50,000 figure with the 736. Both of them appear to be falling. The number's around 56,000 under the previous government. So, sort of credit where it's due. The Labour government did inherit this problem, but they're going to have to keep really pushing it, because that figure will be shocking to a lot of people.
But what do you think? Do you think Andy Burnham's going to keep the Home Secretary on, keep Shabana Mahmood on? Because, as I say, there have been reports that he's thinking of watering down the sort of tough measures that the Home Secretary was hoping to bring in. Is he going to try and appeal to the open borders left of the party? That's the concern.
I think politically, if I was advising him, you want to keep a really tough stance on this. We know that immigration is a concern for a lot of people. We know that, even since leaving the EU, which was supposed to solve this problem, illegal immigration has quadrupled since we left the EU. So someone like Andy Burnham, if I was advising him, I'd be saying, listen, you want to keep someone in place who is going to keep a sort of strong hand on this and really crack down, particularly on illegal immigration. No matter where you stand on this debate, you want to make sure that your borders are secure and that people are being, coming into the system in a way that is fair and that makes sense, and you can keep a track of people, and you're not losing people, no matter how, they seem to be cracking down on it. And as I say, the figures have gone down, but it is still way too high. So I think, if I was Andy Burnham, I would be making sure that you've got someone in place who really can kind of keep a handle on that. And if you can keep driving it down, he can sort of focus on the other issues that people want to tackle, things like health and social care, cost of living, those kinds of things as well.
And yet these things are all connected. I mean, if the government doesn't know where people are in the country, people who is supposed to be knowing where they are and deporting even, if they can't find those people, the government just looks incompetent. And when the British public sees its government as being unable to perform the basic duties of state, that feeds through into public perception to can they run the health service? Are the schools okay? Do ministers know what they're doing? Are these people competent in any form?
I think that's actually the really concerning thing. What we've seen in the last decade, I mean, let's not forget, we are moving on to our 7th Prime Minister in a decade. If this was any other country, the UK would be issuing warnings like, what's happening over there? It's looking like the democracy is a little bit unstable. So I think it's actually really, really worrying that we are sort of in this merry-go-round at the moment where we just seem to be recycling Prime Ministers what feels like every year or something. And I think, to your point, that it is really important that they get a grip of these issues so they can start to present stable and efficient government. I mean, I worked during the coalition government, and at the time I remember thinking, God, this is so chaotic, and like, oh my gosh, everything feels really unstable. I look back now and I'm like, crikey, that coalition government was incredibly stable. We survived a full 5-year term, which hasn't happened since. So I think there are a lot of issues, as I say, the kind of what we're going through at the moment with this heat wave. All of these things need tackling, and people need to feel as though they can believe in their government to just get on with the job. People don't want to have politics invading their life every 5 minutes. They just want to do their job, go home to their families, and not have to worry that the government is incompetent,
Yeah, Pablo, Hannah, thank you very much indeed. I mean, looking at the polling, it looks like we're going to have some kind of horrific hung parliament coalition type scenario, and perhaps be stable, who knows?
Well, I mean, one of the arguments for a coalition is that you have a coalition agreement at the start of the parliament. And so, unlike this government that has tried to do stuff on the hoof and they can't agree on welfare reform, and they can't agree on defence spending. With the coalition government in 2010, they thrashed out what they were going to do for the 5 years. Yeah, OK, they ran out of things to do by year 4 or 5, but they thrashed it all out and they all signed up to the coalition agreement. And that really limited the number of rebellions we had, because they could keep referring to this foundational document of the government.
Yes, and now the Liberal Democrats say they'd never do it again with the Conservatives, of course.
Well, I can see why they'd say that.
Yeah. GBNews have contacted the Home Office for a reply, however. We're still waiting for a response, but previously the Home Office has said.
Under the previous government, removals failed to keep pace with arrivals, and the Conservatives stopped asylum decision-making as they pursued their failed Rwanda plan.
Management of contact with those with no right to be in the UK was chaotic and data was unreliable.
As a result, the asylum backlog ballooned to 175,000.
OK, a little walk through history there. Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GBNews. Lots more coming up. It's getting hot.
In case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, temperatures are heating up across the UK, or are they actually on the way down?
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see.
Was yesterday peak weather? Well, we'll see. Yes, all of that and more to come with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas, so it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast, but for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening, more cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight, temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's widely a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Expect 40-minute delays on the M56 westbound between junctions 10 and 11 due to congestion. The A14 westbound in Northamptonshire is closed between junctions 22 and 13 at Thrapston after a vehicle fire. A medical emergency has closed one lane on the M40 southbound between junctions 15 and 13 in Warwickshire. Hertfordshire's M25 clockwise between junctions 24 and 25 has one lane closed due to a broken down vehicle. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway faces major disruption between London St Pancras International and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 20 to 1, and at least 164 people have been killed, with hundreds others injured, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes in Venezuela's capital, Caracas.
Yes, the country's interim president has declared a state of emergency while rescuers from several countries, including the United States, are deploying search and rescue teams and resources.
Well, we're joined now by the South American political analyst Pablo Ochoa. Pablo, thanks indeed for joining us. What do we know so far?
Well, so far I have little details on the actual sort of long-term damage to the economy, to the infrastructure. I think what we can see right now, in just from reports from Venezuela, is that there are dozens of buildings that have been destroyed. And I think the government is assessing the long-term damage to infrastructure, like the electrical grids and the gas system as well, which I think will tell us about the challenges that Venezuela will face in the second part of this humanitarian disaster, when this first bit, which is to actually rescue people from the rubbles, ends, which is still nowhere in sight because it's early days.
Of course, this regime has many troubles of its own. How will it be able to cope with this?
Well, one of the things that is a silver lining here is humanitarian assistance is actually the humanitarian area is still one where some countries can put differences aside. We've seen Venezuela receiving help from El Salvador and Argentina, and other countries that are in the opposite side of the ideological dispute, as well as Brazil and Mexico, and of course the United States. The other silver lining is that the United States has been relaxing some of the sanctions. At some point, Venezuela was under 2,000 small sanction measures, and since the intervention in January, the United States has been relaxing the sanctions. So hopefully it will be easier for the international partners to reach Venezuela and help in a moment like this.
Now, the United States has been sort of steering much of the oil industry's operations in Venezuela. To what extent has the State Department of the United States got its fingers and tentacles over the actual day-to-day running of Venezuela, or is that very much still all Delcy Rodriguez?
I think the United States has a large influence on Venezuela. And when it comes to the strategic economic sectors of Venezuela, we can see Venezuela, for example, taking military action to clear mining areas of criminal gangs, particularly, so that foreign investment can come in. Venezuela very recently, and I think that's a little bit unfortunate with this earthquake, has signed a memorandum of agreement with an American company to invest in its energy grid, which now we need to see how much damage has been done to that. And of course, the oil sector has been progressing in many different ways very rapidly. Venezuela has been retrieving some of its capacity, but again, anything that implies the long term or a huge leap in terms of economic activity will just take that much longer.
OK, well, Pablo Ochoa, thank you very much indeed for your time. A dreadful, dreadful story. The number of dead keeps rising, unfortunately. South American political analyst, some are estimating that it could potentially be thousands of people losing their life. Horrific disaster.
With situations like this, I suppose you never know until a few days afterwards, really, until the dust has settled, so to speak.
No, well, we'll continue to bring you the latest. Obviously, a complex political picture, that's for sure, over there.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Plenty more still to come.
Yes, David Beckham, this is funny, was spotted in the crowd last night enjoying a rather large glass of red. A little bit of Chateau Neuf de Pape, a little Merlot. What else is there? Pinot Noir?
Now, this photograph was snapped just as Brazil took the lead against Scotland. Is the former England captain celebrating?
I just think, I mean, I don't know, some people might judge him. Is red wine really what you should be drinking at a football match? Shouldn't it be a pint of lager and a packet of crisps? I don't know. I don't know. I'd prefer a glass of rosé myself, but yeah, red. Any problems with that?
Maybe Victoria's calling the shots. Well, now
she's probably only champagne.
Oh yeah,
champagne and steamed fish.
Certainly
is what she eats.
Now, if you're in search of some holiday sunshine, champagne or otherwise, well, here's the weather in Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of one or two showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of one or two showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
And it's Father's Day. I don't know if my dad's up yet. If you are, happy Father's Day.
He's already texted.
Is he?
He's tuning in.
Mr. Reaper, good morning to you.
Sunday, well, speaking of Sunday lunches, he'll be having a roast pork joint later, courtesy of myself.
Good, good.
Cards and gifts are a big part of the day, of course, but it's also important to remember that there is more to it than that.
Yeah, because it's not just about one day, is it? Actually, it's like, what do dads do? And healthy fathers, a healthy sort of father-son, father-daughter relationship builds strong families, builds strong communities and helps build a strong country, actually.
Well, that is why mentoring the next generation matters more than ever. So take a little extra time today, make sure you do, to appreciate not just the fathers or the grandfathers or the uncles out there, but any strong father figure that you may have.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast, 25 minutes past 6. And breaking news this morning, the TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson has revealed that he's been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer in an emotional video.
in the scenes, he's telling his co-stars Caleb Cooper and Charlie Ireland, his land agent and his farm manager, and they're both devastated, as you can imagine. You know, it's a huge bombshell to drop on them. He's only 66. He's made no secrets that he's maybe not lived the healthiest lifestyle. After the heart problems, he bemoans having to eat Greek yogurt and kale and whatnot. But following this, I think he's going to have a complete lifestyle overhaul even further, and just fingers crossed the treatment proves effective.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Hello there, Emily and Tom. Yes, some breaking news in the last few moments from Kensington Palace regarding our future king, Prince George of Wales, the oldest son of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The short statement from Kensington Palace reads, Kensington Palace can confirm that Prince George will attend Eton College in September. That news just coming in from the royal household in the last few moments. This clearly is, well, perhaps not surprising news for those in royal circles. Eton College, the most prestigious school, arguably in the country, educating 20 prime ministers, and of course Prince George's own father and uncle, Prince William and Prince Harry, as well as 2 Dukes of Gloucester's, the Duke of Kent and Prince Michael of Kent as well. So that confirmation just coming in from Kensington Palace. £63,000 a year it costs to send a child to Eton College.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's coming up to 10-1. And to the football now, to the sport, or perhaps this is just about personalities.
This is just about personalities, isn't it? David Beckham and his fishbowl of red wine.
Yes, he had a lot of fans talking during Scotland's World Cup clash with Brazil, but not, of course, for anything that was happening on the pitch at all. No, the former England captain was spotted on the BBC in the stands in Florida with what fans are calling a fishbowl of red wine, despite, of course, that 30-degree sweltering heat.
Yeah, so it got me thinking, is red wine really for hot weather? No, that's not the question. The question is, this is a bit odd, is it not?
Is it?
I mean, is this hospitality gone too far? A large glass of some kind of expensive red wine in the stands? He used to be on the pitch and now he's just quaffing expensive wine.
Is this where I admit I've never been to a football game in person?
Have you not?
No, not once.
Well, maybe you should go.
I've been to the cricket, I've been to the rugby, I've been to the rowing, never to the football.
Well, Tom was going to go to the theatre last night, but it was closed because it was too hot.
Too hot? Yeah, they shut it. They cancelled the production.
Well, Mickey says you could get a whole bottle of wine in that glass. I think you probably could, you know. Looks are sometimes deceiving. Caroline says her fave wine is Chateauneuf de Pape. A good taste, expensive taste there. Caroline says she prefers a nice cold Prosecco when she's watching the football. And someone else says, I know my wines. I do, some of them, yeah, I do. I will agree to that.
Well, it helps, given your proficiency with French, given all of the names of these particular wines. A lot of them you needed a languages degree to actually decipher.
Well, I think French wine is known as the best. The Champagne region.
Although perhaps English wine is going to make a comeback. It was said that when the Romans arrived in Britain, there were vineyards as north as Yorkshire, because the climate was hotter. And then we went into the sort of mini ice age, the cooling period of the 1500s onwards. It's getting hotter again, so perhaps it's time to bring back those vineyards in Yorkshire.
Well, Linda says if Beckham farts, it's reported on.
Goodness.
It's a joke, and so is he and his family.
Wow.
Oh, you don't hold back, Linda. You don't hold back. But they are very popular, although, of course, there is this massive feud between him and his son, Brooklyn. He's now married to a billionaire, heiress of a billionaire fortune.
I think this might be the same Linda who's written in something else. Apparently Beckham went to the men's room afterwards. Why wasn't that reported on? We get every other boring detail of him.
He was spotted in his Speedos the other day, wasn't he, alongside one of his sons? So there you go. Turn the temperature up.
Slightly peculiar picture for them to sort of promote, but, you know, each their own. So, but the football is going relatively well for England in general.
Oh, you know that, do you?
Well, I mean, OK, the draw was disappointing.
It was very disappointing.
But I was speaking to someone who was saying that perhaps it would be actually good if we come not top of our group, but the second place in the group, because then the next matching, the next pairing, is a slightly easier game to win.
Well, I mean, I hope so. But I was going to watch the Scotland game, but I didn't realise it started at 11 o'clock.
Very late.
Yeah, very late. That was too late for me. I am fast asleep by then.
Yeah, also they got absolutely pasted.
They got absolutely what?
Pasted.
Yes, they did. Yes,
Yeah.
It wasn't very good. But anyway, clearly
Brazil
David
is,
Beckham was drinking his woes away if he was supporting the Scottish team.
But I don't know how many World Cups Brazil has won. It must be one of the countries that has won the most football World Cups. So, and also.
Claire says I'll have to Google that, Emily. Are you talking about the Speedo comment I made?
Goodness me. Oh, you can tell it's reached summer silly season, can't you?
Beckham always has his eye on the camera, looks like a setup, says Steve. Well, I don't know about that. He was probably just enjoying the red wine, don't you think?
Well, in slightly better news for Scotland fans, despite the 3-0 loss, there is a slim chance, depending on the other scores on the doors of the other teams, that they could still advance. They're not completely out yet.
No.
It's just a very, very slim, narrow path through if everything else goes their way.
They've got a 25% chance, don't they? 1 in 4 chance. Anyway, this is Good After Britain on GB News. And yes, it looks like illegal migrants and foreign criminals are on the loose in Britain. Yes, they've completely dropped off the Home Office radar. What on earth is going on? Will the Home Office get a grip under Andy Burnham?
Well, lots more to come, of course. Don't move a muscle. But first, let's have a look at the weather. And I'm just going to make a prediction here. I think the weather might be a little bit hot. Let's have a look.
In some areas, I suppose.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas, so it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast, but for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening. More cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
And the winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 25th of June. I'm Emily Carver.
And I'm Tom Harwood. Well, Rachel Reeves, who is still the Chancellor, says she has unfinished business in what some are describing as a desperate bid to keep her job.
Yes, should she keep her job? This comes as it's reported net zero fanatic Ed Miliband is advising Andy Burnham on economic policies behind the scenes.
Elsewhere, the American President Donald Trump tells GB News Andy Burnham is extremely liberal when asked about the so-called Prime Minister in waiting.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
And yes, there's an immediate hosepipe ban imposed on almost 1 million people after the hottest June day on record. Yes, South East Water is urging people to only use water for essential needs.
Put those paddling pools away. Well, elsewhere it's heating up across Britain and the rest of Europe. It's currently 30 degrees in central London.
Elsewhere, supermarket chaos as fridges break down at major supermarkets across the United Kingdom, including M&S and Sainsbury's. That's amid the red heat warning. And the Prime Minister has confirmed this morning there are Cobra meetings taking place at the official level.
Brits have been ordered by some councils to remove air conditioning units from their homes under a fresh net zero crackdown. Yes, genuinely.
A madness, eh? And in other mad news, more than 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals are on the loose in Britain after dropping completely off the Home Office radar. Meanwhile, the government has failed to deport almost 150,000 migrants over outstanding human rights claims.
And terrible news out of South America. Yes, at least 164 are dead and nearly 1,000 injured. Those are the numbers so far after a devastating double earthquake hit Venezuela. We'll have the latest.
So, do you think Rachel Reeves has any chance of keeping her job?
No.
She was very much making a pitch this morning, talking about unfinished business, talking about how she's on board with Andy Burnham, how they've worked together in the past, how they speak all the time.
If Rachel Reeves keeps her job, I will eat my hat.
You don't have a hat, Tom. So that's an empty threat. Oh, actually, he's done this before.
I have.
You've eaten your hat on air before.
I made an origami hat out of paper. I made an origami hat out of paper because I said there is no... If the Conservatives win the Uxbridge and South Ruislip by-election, I will eat my hat. And then they only went and won it. So I did.
So don't listen to Tom when it comes to politics.
Several years ago, I did eat an origami hat at this desk.
Yes, very tasty.
Yeah, but I'm more confident in my prediction
What
about
about
Rachel
Ed?
Reeves.
What about Red Ed?
I also don't think it's going to be Ed.
Wes?
I think that if Andy Burnham is smart, and I think he is a clever man, that he will pick someone from the centre-right of the Labour Party.
Why do you think he's a clever man? Just asking for a friend?
I don't think you get to where he's got to. I mean, considering how he was written off 7 months ago, and he has manoeuvred himself into now being the unchallenged, putative Prime Minister. I mean, it takes political skill to do that.
Capable to stick the knife in?
Oh, certainly.
Perhaps a sign of intelligence, I don't know.
Lots of working behind the scenes over the last 7 months, I'm sure.
Anyway, Rachel Reeves has unfinished business, so make of that what you will. gbnews.com/your say. Do get in touch throughout the show, but let's get to the headlines with Tatiana.
Thank you and good afternoon. The top story. Sir Keir Starmer says officials are holding COBRA meetings to coordinate the response to the current hot weather. A red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales has now been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday. The warning means there's a risk of health impacts across the population and possible transport disruption. Police have confirmed a man has died after going into the sea on a popular Welsh beach. Meanwhile, South East Water says a hosepipe ban has been introduced for around 850,000 customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water. The warmest June night on record in the UK saw 36.1 degrees recorded in Hampshire yesterday.
It is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say take care, be sensible with precautions.
Rachel Reeves says she is backing Andy Burnham to be the next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has weighed in on Sir Keir Starmer's potential replacement with a question from GB News' Bev Turner.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal. I have had every oil company come to see me. Sir, could you give us access to the UK? We would do anything to drill in the North Sea. And they haven't even found what's there. The amazing thing is they buy their oil from Norway, which gets the oil from the North Sea. Think of it. And they pay a big premium. Norway's got now $2 trillion in the bank, and UK is dying. So they should open up the North Sea. It's an easy one, and a lot of good things are going to happen.
A person has died and a child is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after their car was struck by a train at a level crossing. The British Transport Police has said it's happened this morning at a crossing on Station Road in Houghton, near Preston in Lancashire. There have been no other injuries reported from passengers or staff on the train at this time. And at least 164 people have been killed and several hundred are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Rescuers are coming from other countries to assist with the search, including from the United States, with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, saying the country's immediately deploying resources. Those are the latest headlines for now. Here's the finance.
Going through the ceiling, finding the floor. Stilts Home Lifts sponsors the GBNews Finance Report.
The pound will buy you $1.32 and €1.16. The price of gold, £3,030, and the FTSE 100 at 10,517 points.
GBNews Finance Report, brought to you by Stilts Home Lifts.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 8 minutes past 1. And in breaking news, Sir Keir Starmer will not seek any role in a Burnham government. Scorching reports that he could be made Foreign Secretary. That's understood by GB News.
Well, there you go. Are you surprised at all?
No.
No?
No, I think that Keir Starmer wanted to remain Prime Minister. The world around him collapsed on Friday with the scale of Andy Burnham's victory in Makerfield. And I don't think that he would want to be hanging around for particularly long. I don't think we're going to see him sitting on the green benches a lot. I don't think he's going to resign his seat anytime soon, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of him in Parliament.
Maybe you should just set up a new legal practice with Lord Hermer. You know, they probably make a lot of money doing what they do best. Yeah. Legal things.
Yeah, absolutely. But perhaps that's...
Human rights law with Starmer and Hermer, it could be called.
Starmer... yeah, Anyway, although Keir Starmer did make a big song and dance about trying to ban second jobs for MPs, so whether he can remain an MP and not face any charge of hypocrisy if he sets up his own legal practice while also being the Member of Parliament for Holborn and St Pancras.
Well, perhaps he'll go work for the UN or some, supranational organisation.
That's what Gordon Brown's doing.
Yeah, well, suits a lot of the failed Prime Ministers. Anyway, GB News understands that the Prime Minister told his Cabinet yesterday, "This is the end of my journey," indicating, of course, that he will not accept any Cabinet role if one was on the table.
Well, some Labour MPs have reportedly been keen on Sir Keir staying on as Foreign Secretary to build on those connections that he's made internationally. Of course, other former Prime Ministers have been Foreign Secretary in recent history, notably David Cameron, but also who became... Was it... Now, I'm having a mind blank.
OK, we'll move on. Political editor Christopher Hope joins us now.
Christopher Hope can probably tell me which mid-century Conservative Prime Minister then became a Foreign Secretary.
Tom, you are such a bore. You are such a bore. Chris, go on, tell us.
I think it was Salisbury. It was Lord Salisbury, Tom,
if
you look at your history books. Yeah, I mean, it is quite common in the past that you have foreign Prime Ministers becoming Foreign Secretaries. That's what Lord Salisbury did, of course, as Tom knows, from the 19th century. And that can happen before, but I understand from sources this will not happen for Sir Keir Starmer. I've been told that he will not take up any role in any future Burnham government. Sir Keir Starmer made clear to the Cabinet yesterday when they met, "This is the end of my journey, I am told," and therefore that means he won't take up any future role. He will stay on, of course, as the MP for Holborn and St Pancras. He won't be triggering a by-election there. That wasn't clear. He talked this morning, though, to reporters in Milton Keynes about how he's feeling after the past week when, frankly, his career as Prime Minister has fallen apart before our eyes. And here's what he told us about how he plans to manage the next 3 weeks of the transition period towards the Andy Burnham government.
It is the privilege of my life to have been and to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and I remind myself of that every single day.
How are you feeling about it?
Well, look, it is an incredible honour and privilege to be Prime Minister. I am determined to act in a way that ensures there's an orderly transition. That is my duty. I feel it very, very deeply, and I will do that, faithfully serving my country until the day I hand over, and then making sure that whatever comes next is a success and the country can go on. I love this country. I love this country. I want this country to thrive, and I shall do everything I can to make sure it's a success and thrives. The first bit of that is making sure that there's an orderly transition and we go on and build on the good stuff we've done in the first 2 years of this government.
The PM there saying he's going to do what he can to organise a transition of power, not put his own interests forward. I mean, we were trying to understand from him the kind of feeling he may have about being undermined by MPs. Just not even 2 years ago, who led his party to the biggest landslide majority, the biggest in 2 decades. That's all fallen apart for him. He's carrying on. But right now, it's all about, of course, legacy. How will we remember Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister? One of the areas he is very, very keen to make sure happens before he stands down in the 3rd week of July, which we expect, is the issue of the Defence Investment Plan. We know there's £13.5 billion increase offered so far. That's not enough, according to Al Carnes, who made challenge, the former Armed Forces Minister, and of course John Healey, the former Defence Secretary, who quit over the very same issue. This is what he had to say about that. The key question here we are trying to get from him is, will Andy Burnham have a veto over whatever the defence new budget will be? Here's what he told us.
Well, again, let's look at the 2-year period that I've been Prime Minister. Last year, we announced the biggest increase, sustained increase in defence spending since the 1980s. That means over this Parliament, £270 billion spent on defence. That's the sort of money that's never been spent before. The Defence Investment Plan is looking at the next generation capability, making sure that we're fully equipped across all of our armed forces. That will be additional money on top of the increase I've already put in place. That plan is being finalised, and we will publish it before the NATO summit, which is a week on Tuesday. I'm sorry. Well, everybody understands why it's important that we spend the money that we must spend on our armed forces, and so it's my intention to publish that ahead of the NATO summit. That's the right time to publish it, when we'll be coming together as NATO countries, the single most effective military alliance the world has ever seen, to share our capabilities and to make sure we emerge from that summit stronger as a military force.
So on that question, will Andy Burnham sign off? He said this: everyone understands why it's important that we spend the money that we must spend on our armed forces. Everybody must include Andy Burnham, because what's happening here is the PM, Sir Keir Starmer, is really a caretaker Prime Minister. The new Prime Minister is going to be Andy Burnham, and this kind of spending he must sign off on.
And that's a really tricky position for the current Prime Minister to find himself in. I mean, no authority, no one's going to listen to anything he says, because it can all be undone by the next guy in just a few weeks' time. Oh, well, Christopher Hope, thanks indeed for standing there on Downing Street for us. Do let us know if you see any removal vans at any point in time, but thanks indeed for joining us.
Yeah. It's quite funny, isn't it? Because Keir Starmer has been accused of not being very patriotic a number of times, hasn't he? And he had to say multiple times there, "I love this country." Insisting.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
They all say that, but I mean, Theresa May, in her farewell
shouldn't even be up
speech,
for debate, really, as Prime Minister.
I love, you know, yeah.
No, it's different. I love this country. I love this country. OK, all right. Anyway, meanwhile, President Donald Trump has issued an unfavourable assessment of Andy Burnham, the frontrunner to be Britain's next Prime Minister.
When asked by our very own Bev Turner last night, the President said he was unfamiliar with the former Mayor of Greater Manchester and expressed scepticism about his energy policies.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Mayor of a town. Joining us now in the studio is spokesperson at Republicans Overseas UK, Jennifer Ewing. Jennifer, thank you very much indeed. I mean, he kind of diminished him there, didn't he?
Town.
Yeah, Manchester, you know, very big city, exactly, very important role as mayor. But I suppose Yes, Andy Burnham is very much an unknown to the US president. How do you think their relationship will be?
Do you know what? I think if Andy Burnham wanted to turn around and become the true king of the North, right, by bringing back jobs, bringing back maybe some oil and some development up north, and I think he and the president could get along quite well, because all that Trump is pointing out is what we all know, which you cannot have economic security, you cannot have national security if you don't have energy security and indeed, you know, some sort of border security. So it all ties in. The president's been very, very consistent. It plays out in our U.S. defense strategy that we put out back in December, talking about some of the worries we have with our great ally, the United Kingdom. So, no, if I would love to see, if indeed Andy Burnham is to become the next prime minister, if he and President Trump could sit down, perhaps the president could go to Greater Manchester and have these discussions, because I do not understand why energy security is a political issue. Why is it a partisan issue? I think we all realize that it's not a luxury to want to either heat our homes in the winter, cool them on days like today. For businesses to thrive, you need affordable and reliable energy. And the UK certainly doesn't have that right now. It's been demonized. And again, I think let's take politics out of this energy question.
And yet there is a very, very big fly in the ointment for Andy Burnham, which is that he has now committed to stand by the pledges of the Labour manifesto in 2024. And the Labour manifesto in 2024 said no new oil and gas exploration in the North Sea. So either he's going to have to ignore that manifesto commitment or say no to Donald.
Well, exactly. And look, the people he should be saying yes to are the people of the United Kingdom, right? So forget the President of the United States for a minute. He should be listening to, and I'm sure as your listeners and your viewers tell you all the time, this is really important to us, energy security. So that's who Andy Burnham should be listening to. And I don't think this would be the first time either something was taken out of a manifesto or added into a manifesto. So I don't think it's his, cut and steal as we would have thought. But let's see. I think we have to remain hopeful. Otherwise, the United Kingdom is just going to continue into managed decline, which none of us want to experience.
No, absolutely not. Thank you very much indeed, Jennifer Ewing. It's not all bad news for the Conservatives, though, apparently, according to new polls. Moving on to the Conservatives.
There's a segue, though, because they've just won a by-election on the issue of oil and gas in Aberdeen. So what a beautiful segue.
Oh, yeah, and also Andy Burnham is topping the latest poll if he is Prime Minister for Labour. So they'll have a little Burnham bounce, apparently. But data shows Brits believe Kemi Badenoch would be the second best leader of the country. So could this be a sign of a Conservative Party comeback?
Well, joining us is the pollster and Conservative peer, Lord Hayward. Thanks indeed for joining us. There is some scepticism about the Badenoch bounce, because whilst Kemi Badenoch's personal approval ratings do seem to have risen and risen and risen in recent months, she doesn't seem to be taking the party with her.
No, you're right. There's no question that history is that Tory party leaders have often been more popular than the Tory brand. And there's no question that in these circumstances, Reform is still in the lead. And Kemi is much more favoured by the population than the Tory party. The party has got to progress post-2024, and we may see a step change at some point, led by Kemi, who, as you say, is becoming ever more popular with the public at large, not just Tory supporters, but Reform supporters, Labour and Liberals. So one just has to wait and see.
Yeah, she does seem to be improving, certainly, as a leader of the Conservative Party. At the beginning, there were a lot of doubts about whether she could, move the dial when it comes to polling. But I've just seen a latest one put in the Conservatives at 23%, up 3 from the previous. That's a more in common poll. Labour on 27, Reform on 26. It does feel like Reform have had a few issues recently. Nigel Farage and this £5 million gift. Maybe they've gone a bit too hard on the sort of anti-white rhetoric. I don't know. I'm sure there are other issues as well that have come into play. Could the Conservatives be, on the rise? Could there be a return to Labour v Conservatives?
I'm not going to get too carried away at this point. There is no question, excuse me, that Kemi is improving the position. Equally, as you say, Nigel Farage has had a problem last 7 or 8 days in particular. Makerfield, huge Labour majority, much bigger than expected. And then you get on to 5 million and Nigel Farage's TV interviews, error in the video clip post the Mike Makerfield by-election where he claimed that Reform had come second in Arbroath when actually they came third. So there are problems for Reform, but let's not overdo it. And problems for an individual or successes take about 2 to 3 weeks to filter through to the polling. What we've seen with Kemi is it's filtered through and gone on month. We'll wait and see whether the difficulties that Nigel Farage has had over the last 7 days filter through in the opposite direction.
There is, of course, a tendency to get wound up in polls, and, of course, what a politician will always tell us on this programme is the only poll that matters is the poll on the day. And we have seen, in the most recent by-elections, Reform underperforming. That's true. Labour winning one, the Greens winning one, the Tories winning one, the SNP winning one. But when it came to the local elections, Reform absolutely swept the board. How do we account for these two different sort of data points?
Well, firstly, Reform were fighting from ground zero, in effect, because they were contesting seats which they'd not previously contested. So therefore, they were going to make gains. But having said that, they made very substantial gains. But if you look at 2025, post the huge gains that Reform made at that point, there was a real step up in Reform's polling on a national basis. In 2026, that's not happened. It was, yes, they're fighting seats, they did very well indeed, but they haven't been able to go onwards and upwards from there. If anything, they've stuttered. They haven't declined badly, but they've stuttered over recent weeks.
OK, Lord Hayward, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate your time. Pollster and Conservative peer, of course. I think it's just all to play for at the moment, really.
It does feel like we're in a moment of flux and nothing is truly decided. And Burnham coming in, we haven't seen a lot of these hypothetical polls, but when he is actually Prime Minister, I mean, Labour could go up, Labour could crash down once the shine's come off him. I mean, it does feel like we are in this moment when anything could happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want the right to unite, as they say it, because the left seem to be doing a bit of that,
They just can't agree behind whom.
They can't agree behind whom. And they don't want to play with each other. They don't want to work with each other. So there you go, there's that problem. But, of course, a general election may be a long way off, unless Andy Burnham decides that he's the man to take Labour to an early general election.
Will he cut and run? Well, do let us know. gbnews.com/your say. What do you reckon?
Yes, lots more coming up on today's show, though.
Yes, Brits have been ordered by some councils to remove air conditioning
It's an
from
outrage.
their homes. This is net zero madness.
It is, yes, and it's heating up across the UK, which is obviously linked. It's currently 30 degrees in central London.
Well, all of that and more to come with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 28 minutes past 1. Now, this is an astonishing story. London homeowners in certain councils have been told to remove air conditioning units under planning rules, all aimed at cutting energy use.
Imagine you've spent thousands on installing a new high-tech air conditioning unit and then the council tells you to take it out.
Down.
It's probably your neighbours that reported you as well, because that's what people seem to do. Anyway, the policies adapted from Sadiq Khan's London plan tell residents to rely on opening windows, shading rooms and fans before using air conditioning.
Well, the Tories say net zero is now denying people modern conveniences, while the government says councils should take a common-sense approach in the interests of communities and the environment. Well, the question is, has the climate agenda gone too far? Is it now being self-contradictory?
Well, it appears so. Joining us now is Senior Fellow at the National Centre for Energy Analytics and author of Green Tyranny, Rupert Darwell. Well, you're the author of a book that says it all, really, doesn't it? Rupert, OK, so 5% of people, households, apparently have air conditioning in this country, which isn't very many. Do you think... Should more people have air conditioning, or would that ruin the climate, make it even worse? Would it be a net zero disaster?
Great to be joining you, Emily. Yes, of course, people should be free to choose to spend their money on keeping their houses cooler if that's what they want to do. But it runs very much against green ideology for two reasons. First of all, that green ideology wants you to suffer from climate change and therefore agitate for net zero. And the second point about green ideology is that for them, the best power station is the power station that isn't built.
So hang on, but you think that people like Ed Miliband want us to suffer so that we suddenly need to do more? Or...
Absolutely, because then you're making the case for emissions cuts. I mean, the problem with that is that, as we know, Britain's emissions account for less than 1% of global emissions, and the emissions from the global south have been soaring since we passed the Climate Change Act. On average, 11 years of emissions reductions from Britain have been wiped out every 140 days from emissions from the rest of the world, which is why you can cut emissions to zero in Britain and it's not going to make any difference.
It does seem astonishing that we have this particularly anti-air conditioning set of rules and regulations, given that for the last 20 or 30 years, the political consensus has been it's getting hotter, it's going to be a lot hotter in this country. Surely we should start to adapt to it. But I want to ask you specifically about this story, Rupert, where people have been told to rip out the air conditioning units they've installed. Obviously, some of this is to do with the London plan and how councils interpret that. Some of this, though, looks like it is neighbours not wanting a big, ugly grey box on the side of the house, making their street look less attractive. I mean, that's got to be a significant part of this, given that some of these things were in conservation areas.
Well, the government also wants people to install heat pumps, which are actually larger than aircon units. So that doesn't kind of wash, does it, Tom? I think it's what Kemi Badenoch said in a different context recently. It's spite. It's just being spiteful. You know, that's what's experienced. The other thing to bear in mind, Tom, is that there's a practical problem. During heat waves, you have very high weather with very high pressure and virtually no wind. And we rely increasingly on wind power. So when we need more electricity for air conditioning, we've got very still atmospheric conditions and we're generating less electricity. So there's also that problem to consider. So that's another reason why they don't want people to have air conditioning.
Yes, do we actually have enough electricity?
Yeah, I know that there have been several warnings put out by various energy bodies in the last few days, putting out that we are not getting close to blackouts, but we have got some worrying dips in energy generation just as energy demand spikes up as people are all turning on their fans and doing lots of things with electricity.
Aren't some of these solar panels overheating and not functioning in this hot weather?
I think the fragility of the British grid is going to be an increasingly large story in the next months and years ahead, because we are facing an energy crunch. Basically, we've got rid of a lot of what energy experts call dispatchable capacity. That's capacity you can ramp up to meet demand, and we've replaced it with wind and solar, which you can't. It's completely dependent on weather conditions, and we also depend on imports. So if there's very little wind in Britain and also in Western Europe, we could be stuffed. There's not going to be enough electricity to import as well.
OK, Rupert Darwell, thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon from the National Centre for Energy Analytics.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Concerning stuff. We should say that a spokesman for Sir Sadiq Khan said the rules helped keep homes cooler without relying on energy-intensive solutions. These are all in the London plan, adding that local planning decisions are the responsibility of the boroughs, who have their own policies in place.
There's a lot of pettiness going on, I fear. Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up. Yes, Denmark is set to ban the Islamic call to prayer under plans for a radical crackdown on what they call creeping Islamisation.
Well, all of that and more to come after your very latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top stories: temperatures have risen above 33 degrees as a heat wave continues to grip parts of the UK. Sir Keir Starmer says officials are holding Cobra meetings to coordinate the response to the current hot weather. A red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales has been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday. At least 164 people have been killed and hundreds are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. Rescuers are coming from other countries to assist with the surge, including from the US, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the country is immediately deploying resources. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team's qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. Those are the latest headlines for now. More at 2 o'clock.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas. So it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast. But for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening, more cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's widely a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M8 westbound slip road at Junction 10 is closed for roadworks. A vehicle obstructs one lane on the A63 eastbound entry slip from the A15 in East Riding of Yorkshire. The A14 westbound in Northamptonshire is closed between junctions 22 and 13 due to a vehicle fire. On the M25 clockwise in Hertfordshire, one lane is closed between junctions 24 and 25. Delays of 40 minutes are on the M4 eastbound between junctions 19 and 18 after a collision. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway faces major disruption between London St Pancras International and Bedford. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 38 minutes past 1. Now, Denmark is set to ban the Islamic call to prayer under plans for a radical crackdown.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
As we know, in a democracy, you're free to choose how you want to celebrate. And this is right on brand for Donald Trump. He loves to be a big spectacle with any celebration he does. He wants it to be big. He wants it to grab headlines. And clearly right now, he wants to show strength. So it's a tactical decision as well. As we know, there's a very unpopular war going on with Iran. And he's hoping to announce a deal tonight, which would be the greatest birthday gift he could get, because we do need a deal. But it's only Donald Trump who would choose to do this. A lot of the people who follow UFC voted for him, and he's being tactical ahead of midterm elections, trying to show strength.
GB News, the People's Channel. Nana Akua, weekends from 3 p.m.
5 years ago, from today, I got to meet my absolute hero, Nigel Farage, and rub shoulders with Dan Wootton and Andrew Neil, the latter being particularly grumpy. He was less than impressed as well when the sound failed during his first broadcast. The lighting was dreadful. I looked mouldy, and at one point I was practically invisible during a breakfast show because of a black backdrop behind me. I was little more than eyes and teeth. We faced obstacle after obstacle, including Stop Funding Hate, an activist group that set about trying to destroy us before we'd even broadcast a single second. Advertisers were frightened off and hostility towards the channel was actively encouraged, which was deeply ironic. But still, we persisted. If anything, it made us more creative and more resilient.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Ian McKellen is helping relaunch the Yard Theatre up in Hackney, which reopens this summer, with a new purpose-built 200 capacity auditorium. Tiny, but he'll be doing a brand new version of King Lear. Up in Scotland, Alan Cumming has taken over the Pitlochry Festival. And I just want people to know that all these small theatres, number one, it's not such a big risk. Ticket prices are £30, £35, £40, top price. And you can find less than that. So you can take a risk, but you'll go along and you'll experience something. You'll be part of something. And I am a huge fan of what we get in the West End. It's world class, but it is a lot of money. And it's sometimes just a little bit predictable or complacent or safe, I would say. Not always, but sometimes.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 42 minutes past 1. Now, Denmark is set to ban the Islamic call to prayer under plans for a radical crackdown on, quote, creeping Islamisation.
Yes, the leader of the left-wing Social Democrats Party confirmed that the newly elected Danish government would pick up a probe into whether such a prohibition would be legal.
Well, going further, saying the call to prayer should not be heard over Danish rooftops. It has no place in Denmark. Remember, this is a left-wing government. But concerns have, of course, been raised surrounding breaching protections for constitutional religious freedoms and, of course, rights under the European Convention of Human Rights.
Well, joining us now is human rights lawyer Shoaib Khan. Shoaib Khan, do you reckon this would be legal?
I'm not sure. I mean, I would hope it's not. Obviously, I mean, as with most human rights, the right to religious freedom is also a balanced or qualified right, as it's called. Basically, you have to balance the rights of that particular individual with the rights of society or the community as a whole. So I think, I mean, even looking at this news, I'm not really quite sure what the harm is that they're trying to avoid. I mean, how would it benefit the people of Denmark if this was stopped, or how does it harm them in any way now that it's allowed? So I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously, like I said, you need to balance different people's rights, you know, what the benefits would be and how they would somehow be harmed. I'm not really sure what the, you know, even according to the people who want to ban it, what is the harm?
This Danish minister has said parts of the country feel like a suburb of Islamabad. And it has no place in Denmark. So clearly they're concerned about the cultural impact of having the call to prayer play out in Danish communities.
Sorry, I'm not sure. No, so are they actually saying that the, you know, Danish culture has been weakened because of the Adhan? I'm not sure what, you know, what are they even trying to say? Again, I'm coming back to, I mean, obviously it would only really, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure where to start with this, because obviously we have the Adhan from, you know, a few mosques, rarely, in the UK right now. But how many times have you ever heard it? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming your viewers, you know, some of us live in so many, you know, what we consider to be really diverse areas. Even there, have we ever actually heard it? Would you be able to recognize it now if it was played to you? So I'm not sure what it is.
Well,
as with anything, it's just a mountain out of a molehill.
I think a lot of people would. There are a lot of areas of the UK where you can hear the call to prayer in some towns and cities. Let's have a little listen, just so people know what we're talking about. Let's play a clip.
So that's the call to prayer. That was in London. Of course, it's not across the whole of London. I mean, I don't hear it on a day-to-day basis. But I suppose there's a question about could this spread? Is it the right thing to exist in this society, in this country? I mean, if I stood on my rooftop and started shouting 5 times a day, I think I'd probably be arrested. I mean, noise pollution for one. Is this something we should be doing?
Yes, of course. I mean, it depends what you're shouting. But if it's literally a call to prayer, I mean, firstly, you wouldn't even understand, if you don't understand Arabic or understand what they're saying, you wouldn't even understand what it is.
But my
secondly,
neighbours would
seriously,
complain.
And especially, I mean, I'm not sure which mosque this was or which areas. I think there's probably
No, it's
a
East
handful
London
of mosques
Mosque.
in the whole of London that play it loudly. And for instance, if we're talking about East London or some of the other areas, in those areas, are you really saying this is the noise pollution?
Do you think it could lead to sort of ghettoisation of certain areas? You know, a lot of people who aren't Muslim probably don't want to hear that 5 times a day, and so they may move out of the area, and then you have very concentrated areas of one religion. Is that healthy?
I mean, I don't know healthy, but I think there's lots of obstacles that, our law and our government already creates to integration anyway, and then we blame those communities who are not integrating. But secondly, I mean, it's just like as if, I live next to a church and I object to the bells ringing. I mean, so I just don't see what the problem is with that.
That's a Christian cultural custom that's been in this country for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Can you really compare it?
I think we can, because now, yes, we do have lots of Muslims here, whichever the exact number is, so why not? And like I said, it's only a handful of mosques in the whole of the country. I don't think, I mean, really, as with so many other issues, for instance, immigration, it's always the people who have never encountered an immigrant. They're always the one most against it. So I don't think, the area, for instance, the mosque you just showed, are you really saying that the local community there have a problem with this? Have they really said that we don't want this happening? Or is it just a matter of...
You can't really compare the call to prayer 5 times a day with churches ringing their bells on Sunday, as they've done since time immemorial. There's a difference, surely, between something that has always been in this country versus something that is new and is changing this country. Is there not a quantitative difference there?
I mean, there isn't, but to be honest, that's not an argument, I think, generally in life that, that I think is particularly important or valid anyway, saying this is the way we've always done things and this is a new thing. So, yes, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily here that the new thing is an improvement on the old thing, but what I mean, there are obviously instances. So I don't think that's basically a very good argument, saying this is the way we've always done it. So how dare you introduce something new? I just don't see that. But like I said, there's lots of Muslims here. The Christians obviously have their church bells or whatever it is. There's so many religions we have. I just don't see what the issue is with this.
OK, well, Shoaib Khan, human rights lawyer, thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested for your views on this. GBNews.com.
Yes, let us know what you think about that. Your area, you can hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. Does it annoy you? Are you happy with it? Let us know.
Or is it actually a tiny thing that doesn't really take place in most parts of the country? I mean, to be fair...
I think it leads to ghettoisation because a lot of people don't want to hear that on a daily basis, so they move out of the area.
I just do not understand...
It's obvious, isn't it?
I just do not understand how a mosque gets permission from the local council to blare that out, whereas my local pub has to shut at 11.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up. Yes, it's heating up across the UK and the rest of Europe. Yes, we know it's currently 33 degrees in central London, 34 degrees in Southampton, 25 in Glasgow, Tom.
Well, now if you're in search of some holiday sunshine, perhaps you don't need to go anywhere at all. It's really hot here, but just in case you are planning a little trip away, here's the weather in Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of 1 or 2 showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of 1 or 2 showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just coming up to 10 to 2. A really serious story now.
Yes, a British TikTok influencer has been charged with murder in Dubai and now faces death by firing squad, according to a human rights group.
Well, 23-year-old Brooke George is accused of killing a fellow Brit with a kitchen knife. However, a campaign group has vowed that this was an act of self-defence after she was attacked.
OK, well, we're joined by human rights lawyer David Hay, who joins us now. Now, David, you've had your run-ins with the Dubai legal system.
Hi, good afternoon to you both. I mean, yeah, I certainly have. I mean, it's 10 years since my own very well publicised, horrific situation in Dubai. And so when, I see a case like this, harrowing on all sides, I think it's really troubling, and nothing has improved in the 10 years that I was horrifically abused in Dubai. Nothing has improved in the way that the Dubai justice system, the UAE justice system, actually works. And I think this young woman is facing literally the fight of her life, I think, here.
Now, to be clear, what exactly went on here? Because obviously the prosecution in Dubai has a different version of events to what the defence has.
I think from the reports that we can see, so there has been a murder. This is undisputed, obviously, and the prosecution is saying that Brooke, the lady that you're showing now, that she is the person that committed that murder. Her team are basically saying that she did so under self-defense, as a defense. So they're not denying that happened. They're saying that she did so in self-defense. She had to defend herself. So that, I think, is the current situation. The young lady is locked up in a prison in Dubai, probably Al Awir, which is really a hellhole. That's the best way to describe it. There's no other way. She'll have very limited, if any, access to a lawyer. That's if she can afford one, because a lawyer isn't provided for you, and they're very expensive over there if you can find a good one. The consulate, hopeless. So it's a really, really difficult situation. And of course, it's on the burden for the Dubai prosecution to prove the murder, but it's if Brooke is bringing a defense of self-defense, it's on her to prove that. And that is impossible when you're locked up in a hellhole prison. You just can't do that.
Yeah, it sounds like she faces a hideous execution if convicted. This human rights group detained in Dubai say that she was allegedly forced to strip naked in front of male officers without a female officer present. She said that's deeply humiliating and distressing. It sounds like a very brutal justice system. Well, incredibly so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're a man, it's brutal and it's unforgiving. If you're a woman, there's a lady I'm helping at the moment, a lady called Zainab, an ex-Sheikh's wife. She's in a bitter custody battle. She was attacked by 20 men from the police in the middle of the night and taken to the police cell. That's how they treat women and children. It's not how, if you're a man, you're badly treated. If you're a woman and a child, you are treated as worse than animals, as property. And that's the terrifying thing here. She'll be forced to cover up. In prison, she'll be forced to cover her hair, to wear a local dress. And it's very, very, very difficult to mount a defense from there, particularly if you're a woman, because they're just not respected in the justice system. And I think that's, and it's really, you can probably tell from my tone of voice how harrowing it is and the difficult situation she's going to be in.
So, David, we don't have much time. Is there any hope for her?
I think she just needs to stay strong and keep fighting. That's the only thing you can do, because you're literally facing the worst thing possible. And they do have the death sentence. They don't often do it, but it is there. So she's got to stay strong and keep fighting, and everyone around her has to do the same.
OK, David Haid, thank you very much indeed. A lot of people who head off to Dubai for, career reasons or whatever don't know about all this, do they?
No. Yeah. Bizarre case, but also terrible. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come. Could Rachel Reeves possibly cling on as Chancellor? Well, we'll be discussing what a Burnham ministry might look like after your latest weather.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update, brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas. So it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast. But for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine, with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat, as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening. More cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's widely a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
The winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, the 25th of June. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Emily Carver. Well, Rachel Reeves says she has unfinished business in what some are describing as a desperate bid to try and keep hold of her job as Chancellor.
Well, it all comes as it's reported that net zero fanatic Ed Miliband is advising Andy Burnham on economic policy, all behind the scenes.
Elsewhere, US President Donald Trump tells GB News Andy Burnham is extremely liberal when asked about the Prime Minister in waiting.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Elsewhere in Kent, an immediate hosepipe ban for the Garden of England. Yes, it's been imposed on almost 1 million people after the hottest June day on record. This as South East Water urges people to only use water for essential needs.
Yes, it's heating up across the UK and the rest of Europe. It's currently 31 degrees in central London, 33 degrees in Bristol and 34 in Southampton.
Elsewhere, supermarket chaos as fridges break down at major supermarkets across Britain, including M&S and Sainsbury's, amid the red heat warning. And the Prime Minister has confirmed there are Cobra meetings taking place at the official level.
Yes, Brits have been ordered by some councils to remove their own air conditioning from their own homes. This under a fresh net zero crackdown.
Bizarre news now. More than 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals are on the loose here in Britain after dropping off the Home Office radar. Meanwhile, the government has failed to deport almost 150,000 migrants over outstanding human rights claims.
Yes, at least 164 people have died and nearly 1,000 injured after a devastating double earthquake hit Venezuela. We'll bring you the latest. Well, apparently the latest is more than 10,000 people are missing.
Gosh.
In Venezuela. It sounds absolutely awful. The US Geological Survey has warned that fatalities could exceed 10,000 people. This is truly a disaster.
That is on a much, much larger scale than I think anyone was talking about even a couple of hours ago.
No, magnitude 7.2 and 7.5 within 39 seconds of each other. So back-to-back
just as you
earthquakes.
Think, yeah. I mean, that must be the absolute kicker, that, you know, you think you've survived the earthquake, you've got to some level of safety, and then you're whacked by another one immediately.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what the population density is in that area at all?
I think Caracas is a very built-up area. Very built up.
So a lot of people in a small area. Well, shocking. We'll bring you any more detail as and when we get it. It's a long way away from us, but a natural disaster like that, geez.
Absolutely. Closer to home, Andy Burnham is putting together his cabinet behind the scenes, and people are vying for jobs pretty nakedly in public. I mean, you have Rachel Reeves giving interviews today saying that she'd like to stay on as Chancellor. I mean, I don't think that's particularly likely, but it does seem like we're getting a sort of beauty parade.
Well, she almost said that. She almost said that. She tooted her own horn. She did say that she did have unfinished business when she was asked. She did say, oh, I've worked with Andy Burnham, we go back years and years, blah, blah, blah. He agrees with me on things like fiscal devolution and all of that. So giving more powers to set things like income tax, potentially, to local mayors and the like. So, yeah.
But the rumour does seem that she will get some sort of cabinet job, just not the chancellorship. So could she be Energy Secretary? Reportedly, behind the scenes, she's been in favour of more oil and gas drilling in the North Sea, up against Ed Miliband. They were at loggerheads on that one. But how does that work, given Ed Miliband's been such a supporter of Andy Burnham and has been advising him on economic matters behind the scenes? She could be MHCLG, housing and local government. She was sort of pushing for more house building behind the scenes. The Treasury was driving that one. Or she could be business and trade, I suppose. That's a sort of lower ranking economic role.
Her job. I wonder if, well, I have fears, as I'm sure a lot of you at home do, that they're probably just thinking of what taxes they could possibly raise without too much grievance from the public.
Well, this is the problem when you're living in
ISIS
a
under
low
attack.
to no growth country. If you want to spend more money, you're going to have to take it from someone. We're not in the early 2000s anymore, where we just had economic growth and you could spend the proceeds without taxing people more.
Yeah, and we can't borrow that much, can we, these days, because it's so expensive because of the state of our economy. Anyway.
And the borrowing costs are only going up in this period of uncertainty.
Brilliant. Well, sorry to be so miserable. Let us know, perhaps you're happy that Andy Burnham is going to be our Prime Minister and you'd love to see Rachel Reeves stay on in her gig.
Yeah, what do you make of it? Who's your fantasy Burnham cabinet? gbnews.com/your say. We'll get to all of that and so much more after your very latest news headlines with Tatiana.
Thank you. The top story. Sir Keir Starmer says officials are holding COBRA meetings to coordinate the response to the current hot weather. A red extreme heat warnings issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales. That's been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday. The warning means there's a risk of health impacts across the population and possible transport disruption. Police have confirmed today that a man has died after going into the sea on a popular Welsh beach. Meanwhile, South East Water says a hosepipe ban has been introduced for around 850,000 customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water.
Look, it is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say take care, be sensible with precautions.
Kemi Badenoch has doubled down on comments she made about the Education Secretary during PMQs yesterday. Sir Keir Starmer defended Bridget Phillipson, saying he was proud that she was his Education Secretary.
So yesterday, I said that Bridget Phillipson was spiteful and incompetent. It's interesting that she hasn't complained about being incompetent, and Keir Starmer didn't say that she was competent. What she has done is displace 40,000 children who have had to leave their schools, leave their friends, the teachers that they love, to find places elsewhere, either because the schools have closed or they don't have the money to pay the fees because of Bridget Phillipson's taxes. But the reason why those taxes were put in place were to fund more teachers. Bridget Phillipson promised 6,500 more teachers. We have 2,000 fewer teachers. We have gone backwards both years she has been Education Secretary.
Rachel Reeves says she is backing Andy Burnham to be the next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
Elsewhere, a person has died and a child is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after their car was struck by a train at a level crossing. The British Transport Police has said it happened this morning at a crossing on Station Road in Houghton, near Preston in Lancashire. There have been no other injuries reported from passengers or staff on the train at this time. At least 164 people have been killed and hundreds are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Rescuers are coming from other countries to assist with the search, including from the US, with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, saying the country's deploying resources. Venezuelans are turning to social media to help find their loved ones, as more than 10,000 people are missing. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team has qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 10 minutes past 2. Now, a quick reminder of that breaking news from earlier. Sir Keir Starmer will not seek any role in a Burnham government. Scotching reports that he could be made Foreign Secretary, GB News understands.
Yes, we also understand that the Prime Minister told his cabinet yesterday, "This is the end of my journey," indicating that he will not accept any cabinet role.
Well, some Labour MPs had reportedly been keen on Starmer staying on as Foreign Secretary, a bit like David Cameron did, or Alec Douglas-Hume, who was brought back by Ted Heath as Foreign Secretary after he was Prime Minister. But
Anyone
it seems that I'm sure there were actually it's quite a common thing, isn't it, for the sort of Prime Minister to then go off and be Foreign Secretary. I'm sure there are dozens of examples throughout the previous centuries, but
to wait till later to find out.
I'll have to do some Googling in the next advert break.
Anyway, Christopher Hope, our political editor, is here for us. Christopher, so Sir Keir Starmer is hanging up his boots.
Yeah, that's right, Tom and Emily. We know he won't stand as the he won't resign. Forgive me, won't resign as the MP for Holborn and St Pancras. But there had been some speculation overnight, despite what he said to the cabinet yesterday about his journey being done in terms of a job in government. But it's been made very clear to me for GB News he will not take any role in any future Burnham government. Andy-Burnham government. Andy-Burnham, of course, we're expected to follow on from Keir Starmer in about 2.5 weeks' time. He's been talking today to reporters, clearly wants to set out his defence investment plan before the NATO summit in 10 days' time in Ankara, and that will be part of his legacy. Another part is his attempt to cut down on migration. Now, he scrapped, didn't he, famously, the last Tory government's Rwanda plan, and has tried to smash the gangs in different ways by squeezing supply of engines and small boats and the like. But he's put out a statement in the past few moments to us, making clear, almost warning Andy Burnham not to row back on any of these migration changes. Pressure from the backbenchers on Labour side to try and pull back on the stopping people staying here for 5 under indefinite leave to remain. But the PM says this, having got it under control is about keeping it under control and not letting it spiral like the last government. A clear warning there to Andy Burnham. Let's have a listen to what he was saying earlier.
Migration has long been a cause for concern. On lawful migration, which when we came in 2 years ago was nearly 1 million net migration, we got that down to about 1/5 of that number, so huge reduction, over 80% reduction. On the crossings across the channel, which so many people are concerned about, understandably, we brought those numbers down as well. So the steps we've taken are beginning to pay off. And at the same time, asylum hotels are closing. Now, the last two are linked, obviously, because with less people getting across the channel, there's less that need to be housed. More work to do, but we are in a much better place than we were 2 years ago.
OK, that's Sir Keir Starmer there trying to set out his legacy. Now, elsewhere, the row between Kemi Badenoch and Bridget Phillipson is going on and on and on, entering its second day. You might remember that yesterday, PMQ's, the Tory leader called Bridget Phillipson a spiteful class warrior for putting VAT on private school fees. Well, that prompted Bridget Phillipson to hit back today, saying she's going to have a T-shirt made up saying "spiteful class warrior," and she said that, you know, why is it that the last time she feels she's criticised, there was a claim that there's some similarity to Nazism, which is, of course, is disputed, of course, by Kemi Badenoch and the like. Anyway, Kemi Badenoch has hit back this lunchtime against Bridget Phillipson. Let's get a flavour of what's been said.
So yesterday, I said that Bridget Phillipson was spiteful and incompetent. It's interesting that she hasn't complained about being incompetent, and Keir Starmer didn't say that she was competent. What she has done is displace 40,000 children who have had to leave their schools, leave their friends, the teachers that they love, to find places elsewhere, either because the schools have closed or they don't have the money to pay the fees because of Bridget Phillipson's taxes. But the reason why those taxes were put in place were to fund more teachers. Bridget Phillipson promised 6,500 more teachers. We have 2,000 fewer teachers. We have gone backwards both years she has been Education Secretary. That is a failure. It is my job as Leader of the Opposition to hold her to account. I have plenty of respect for other Labour ministers like Shabana Mahmood or John Healey, who's just resigned. I don't agree with them on everything, but I can at least see that they're trying to do a good job. Bridget Phillipson represents everything that is wrong with the Labour Party. She is incompetent, but yet she is very happy to dish it but can't take it. She was extremely rude to my Shadow Justice Secretary yesterday morning just before PMQs, calling him a racist. Why doesn't she apologise for that?
OK, it's boiling hot here in Downing Street. It's hot also politically between Kemi Badenoch and Bridget Phillipson. These rows, they are entertaining, but they do show a degree of bitterness between Labour and the Conservatives.
Yes.
That was incredible. I was... sometimes we play these clips from politicians, and I have to confess my mind does wander. During that, I was hanging on to every single syllable. That was excoriating. Chris, do you think Kemi Badenoch's at her best when she's being... I want to say a word beginning with B, but I'll go with feisty.
Well, I think, Tom, she's playing to two audiences. I think the online audience, Twitter and the like, they love it when she's knocking it back to Labour. I'm not sure how well it sits with the wider population who isn't paying much attention to politics, but clearly this goes down very well with the online community who want to see more of this taking the fight to Labour.
Well, I don't know. They are up in the polls, so maybe it is playing with the wider public. This T-shirt business is hilarious. Yes, you can just imagine at the Labour Party conference, if Bridget Phillipson's still in her post, that you'll be able to buy a T-shirt called Spiteful Class Warrior and wear it with pride.
Yeah, well, I remember when Angela Rayner called Conservatives Tory scum, and the Tories then printed badges saying Tory scum. They were given out for free a few years ago at their party conference. So I think the problem with if you adopt these insults, they become almost empowering slightly.
Yes, the Never Kissed a Tory badge.
I own several of those. Now, Christopher Hope, thanks indeed for joining us live there from Downing Street.
Yes, Kemi Badenoch, she does stick the boot in. I'm not sure if she's that bothered about appealing to the online world. She does present herself as someone who's sort of above all that, doesn't she?
Yeah,
but maybe she isn't.
But we are about to get a much more online Prime Minister. The way that Andy Burnham is approaching comms on particularly Twitter, but other social media as well. I mean, he's filming selfie videos, he's replying to individual journalists. I mean, it's a much more forward-facing online comms strategy. So perhaps it's just the world we're in now.
Man of the people.
Yeah. Well, moving on now. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has issued an unfavourable assessment of Mr Burnham, of course, the front-runner to be the next Prime Minister.
Yes, when asked by GB News' Beverly Turner last night, the President said he was unfamiliar with the former Mayor of Greater Manchester and expressed scepticism about his energy policies.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Oh, it's so dismissive, isn't it? He was a mayor of a town. Anyway, let's speak to the former Labour advisor, Matthew Torbett, who joins us now. Just a quick question, Matthew. Would you purchase one of these spiteful class warrior T-shirts?
Why not? Many people may have thought the same about me over the years, so you might as well lean into it if that's the charge that's being led against you. I'm all for it.
OK, next time you're in the studio, we'll get one for you.
Now, on to Donald Trump, because this is a relationship that does matter. It's a relationship that people praised Keir Starmer for fostering in the first year of his premiership, but frankly fell to pieces and tattered on the floor by the end of Keir Starmer's premiership. Can Andy Burnham walk the tightrope in a better way than Keir Starmer ended up doing?
I think probably. I think if you look at Keir Starmer's, I mean, there's a fair few weaknesses, but if you look certainly at his social skills and the way that he is around anybody, let alone presidents, particularly those of which he disagrees with, Andy Burnham is a lot better at that sort of stuff than him, the sort of press in the flesh, the small talk, the aspect of charisma. I've always been intrigued as to how it would go down, you know, what Donald Trump would make of Andy Burnham. But I think it'll be fine. I think the slate will be wiped clean, if you will, and you know, we'll have to wait and see if a visit happens or not, and what happens in those meetings, whether it be NATO or anything else.
Yes, I do wonder. I mean, perhaps they'll get on. Who knows? I mean, he was quite dismissive there. I heard he was a mayor of a town. Very dismissive, belittling perhaps in some ways. Matthew, in terms of, I'll ask you about something that Andy Burnham might do, actually, bringing some of the number 10 up north, well, to Manchester anyway. Is that something you think a lot of Labour Party members and supporters would go for?
I don't think it's just members and supporters. I think there's probably large swathes of people from areas where I'm from that feel there's always been a disparity between North and South, because there has. And actually, I'll let you into a little secret, is this was actually mooted during the access talks during the last general election. There was a cabinet member who isn't in the cabinet anymore that looked into this sort of thing and whether there could be two bases, certainly for themselves. The permanent secretaries at the time didn't like it, I think, because of their reasoning as to why they wanted it. It wasn't necessarily about policy. But I think there's some uses to it. And I think, you know, for instance, if you had HS2 actually working up to Manchester, the trip would be about 1 hour and 8 minutes. So why could you not commute in that sense? And actually, Manchester is a vibrant city. Well, it is. Well, it's a very big if, you're right. But just hypothetically, you know, I think it would open up the country a little bit more and do the world of wonders for not just Manchester, but areas of the north. So I like it, even if it's sort of merely symbolic. But I suppose you've got to have some real weight behind it of what it really means.
Getting to Manchester in 1 hour and 8 minutes would be very...
It'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be.
If only it didn't cost, you know, the earth.
They've given up on that bit anyway, haven't they?
Well, Burnham might bring it back.
Well, he might. Matthew Torbett, thank you very much indeed. I'm not sure he's got the money to spend on it, though.
Although he was proposing a plan where he would take sort of the land value uplift from area around stations and densify with sort of housing projects and building. So, for example, the Old Oak Common Station in London, perhaps what you could do is build a sort of new Canary Wharf of housing there, loads of skyscrapers and whatever, and have all that private development money, tax that and use that to fund the railway. Yeah,
we know what's happening with all these new builds. They're losing their value quicker than Sainsbury's. Anyway, should children go to school during a heat wave? That's a big question, because a teaching union has said it's sensible to review changing the hours of the school day and even the time of the school year due to the hot temperatures.
Well, GBNews reporter Isabel Fekulak joins us live from Bournemouth, sunny Bournemouth. Isabel, how's the beach?
Oh, well, the beach here is absolutely glorious. You can see how packed it is with lots of people who are lucky enough to not be at work enjoying the heat wave. Of course, that red heat alert is now extended to carry on until tomorrow at 9 p.m. So, of course, there'll be another day tomorrow of people very much enjoying the sunshine. Yesterday, we reached record highs of 36.1 degrees. Will today beat that? I'm not sure. But despite that, people showing up anyway. I'm going to speak to some guys now. Hello, you're enjoying the beach today. How's the sunshine?
Oh, so amazing, so amazing. Honestly, been in the beach for at least 5 hours already. It's so nice.
Soaking up that sun, and you've been in the water as well. Tell me how that's been.
So nice. It's so perfect temperature. We've been in there for at least an hour, haven't we?
Got to be, surely.
And you said to me yesterday you were working in about 50-degree heat in a coffee shop.
Our kitchen was 50 degrees temperature in our kitchen. I'm a barista, but in the kitchen it was so hot, but our kitchen's closed early for the rest of the week, so it's been nice.
So, well, there you go. You get to enjoy the sunshine here. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on. And, of course, as you said, some kids are off school today, including these guys, but they have been hard at work. Look at this amazing structure. Hello, girls. How's your day been? I see you've been very busy building sandcastles.
Yeah, it's been very fun and we love the heat.
Yeah, you're enjoying the sunshine?
Yes, very much.
And how long has this structure taken you? It's a lovely little sand pool.
Hours. Yeah, loads.
Oh, well, great work, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day off. So as you can see, lots of people here soaking in the sunshine and making the most of their time off school, off work, and making the most of this heat wave while it's still here.
Oh, lovely, Isabel. What a beautiful scene there. And I must say, I love your dress too. You look fabulous. The woman there saying that she was stuck in a kitchen for 50 degrees.
Yeah.
She's probably very glad she's on the beach.
Very, very hot. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Isabel, thanks indeed. Best job in journalism, I suppose, being on the beach.
A bit hot, though.
Yeah. But I think it is nice to show the positive sides of the heat
those
wave.
kids
as well
having
as,
such a lovely time.
Yeah, exactly.
Took them hours to make that castle.
Gloom and misery, isn't
You
it?
can't just do it in a few minutes, that kind of construction.
Oh, no. I've made some pretty big sandcastles.
I imagine you have.
Those are proper moats.
Replicas of specific castles.
Oh, they're all Gothic. It's a particular form of dribbly sand that you can do on the top to sort of have the Gothic towers.
I think you're going to have to prove it, Tom. Otherwise, I just think you're gassing yourself.
I'll get a picture up later. later.
Anyway, lots more coming up on today's show. Yes, 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals are on the loose in Britain. Yes, they've completely dropped off the Home Office radar.
And an immediate hosepipe ban has been imposed on almost 1 million people after the hottest June day on record.
All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. We were just at Bournemouth Beach, but in Kent, it's a bit of a disaster.
Yes, children have been banned from paddling pools. Horticulturalists have been banned from watering their plants, and people have even been banned from washing their cars. Yes, it's a hosepipe ban. It's been imposed on 1 million Brits in Kent. This after the hottest June day on record.
Yes, South East Water has warned drinking water is being drawn from storage tanks faster than it can be treated and refilled.
So let's cross straight to Will Godley, who's there in Kent for us. Will, hopefully, I was about to say hopefully everyone's smelling all right, but the showers are still allowed. just not hose pipes.
Yeah, unless you shower under a hosepipe, you still can shower, thankfully. So all smelling fine here. We are in some shade under this lovely leafy green tree here, but these leaves might be turning a little bit more browny over the next few weeks. People's gardens might be looking a little bit more parched because, as you say, of course, that hosepipe ban introduced by South East Water in place from today. They have 850,000 customers in the Kent area, all who will now not be able to use their hose pipes because South East Water say people in Kent using water faster than they can replace it into their tanks, and so the water company prioritising what they're calling essential usage, so things like cooking, drinking and hygiene. But as you say, what it means, people can't use hose pipes to water things in the garden, to fill up paddling pools, fill up pools, wash cars or even boats. So all of that off the cards at the moment. But what do people here think? Well, I've been finding out.
I mean, that's kind of common nowadays, hose pipe bans. I think they're normal and you get used to it. It's a bit of a pain for people to carry, buckets and like watering cans, that's the ones, around, but it's not too much of a problem.
I'm always rather dubious whether there's not enough water around. This is the UK. We just had a whole week of virtual nearly flooding. So my view on that is, puzzling.
Yeah, it's not so good. It's not so easy to keep cool when you're trying to limit water. But we're being sensible, I guess. Yeah.
Well, of course, people still can use buckets and watering cans in the garden, but perhaps not quite as easy or as quick as a hose pipe. If you are caught using a hose pipe here in Kent as well, you could face a £1,000 fine. That's when these restrictions become enforced on the 3rd of July. So anyone in this area might want to watch out for that. Of course, it's not the only bit of heatwave news people in Kent dealing with today, though, because that red extreme heat warning has been extended for London and the southeast into tomorrow as well. It was due to end at midnight tonight, but people here will be feeling the heat tomorrow as well.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Will Godley there in Kent.
£1,000 fine seems incredibly steep. Well, let's hope no one's going to tittle-tattle on their neighbours. But Will Godley, thanks indeed for joining us.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to fill up your paddling pool, sneakily.
It's a very expensive paddling pool.
Yeah, very expensive paddling. Anyway, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back in a tick.
Good morning, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas, so it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast, but for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening, more cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's widely a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Traffic is slow on the M77 northbound at Junction 8 due to a broken down vehicle.
The A14 westbound in Northamptonshire is closed between junctions 22 and 13, expecting improvements after 5:15 p.m. A medical emergency on the M1 southbound near Milton Keynes has closed one lane, with clearance expected by 3:46 p.m. The M27 eastbound in Hampshire and the M602 westbound at Junction 2 in Salford also have one lane closed due to broken down vehicles. And on the trains, there are major disruptions on East Midlands Railway between London St Pancras International and Bedford due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's time for Tom's favourite topic.
It's been my hobby horse all week for purely selfish reasons. But it's 35 minutes past 2, and this is an astonishing story. London homeowners in certain London councils have been told to remove their air conditioning units under planning rules aimed at cutting energy use.
Yes, the policies adapted from Sadiq Khan's London plan tell residents to rely on opening windows, shading rooms and fans before using air conditioning.
Well, the Tories say net zero is now denying people modern conveniences. So, has the way we're going about this climate agenda gone too far?
Well, joining us now is the director of the Climate Media Coalition, Donncha McCarthy. Donncha, thank you very much indeed. So, air conditioning, yes or no?
5 years ago, I'd have said no. But now I'm afraid we have broken the climate. We are now in London facing 3 times more days over 30 degrees centigrade.
Than when?
Than the 1970s. And so therefore I have moved from saying, from an energy efficiency point of view, you do exactly what you just talked about. You have shutters, you paint your walls white, you have to make sure you have flow of air through the house. But once it goes over 30 degrees, those don't work. So tragically, we're all now going to have to pay the price of us not acting on climate. We're all going to have to...
Is it tragic, or is it just nicer? I mean, you know, as life progresses, we're supposed to have more creature comforts. I mean, there was a time when people didn't have central heating, and it just... I mean, now having air conditioning is the norm. Perhaps this is just like us growing up as a society.
I think that's very
more
strange.
Creature comforts.
Obviously, it's a creature comfort if you have to have it. But 10 and 15 years ago, we didn't have it. What does that mean?
Well, 10 or 15...
Let me finish.
Yeah.
So what that means is that millions of people across Britain in flats and houses who don't have much money will have to pay £2,000 a unit to put air conditioning in, and it costs 50p an hour. So, Tom, that would cost a pensioner between £300 and £600 a year. We didn't have to pay for that before.
Someone just wrote in saying their aircon only costs them 19p an hour.
Well, that's for one room.
Yeah.
Yes, possibly.
And I suppose here's the thing. It's about a third as the cost to power it in the United States of America, where they've got a wealth of natural gas, keeping their energy prices low.
Well, the problem here is that the price of electricity is actually cheaper than 12 other countries in Europe at wholesale price because of our large amount of green energy.
That's before the green levies on the bills.
No, it's not before the green levies. It's the green levies included in the wholesale price.
Right.
Where we have huge amount of levies is on our bills. And that's £500-600 for the profits for the energy companies. There's another, the standing charge, which is another £200-300. Then you've got VAT. It's crazy.
But isn't this a big error from your side of things, from groups like the Climate Media Coalition, from the Committee of Climate Change, because they focused so much on trying to mitigate climate change, just from the perspective of British policy, instead of focusing on adaptation, when really we should have been focusing on that, because we as a country can't control the climate.
The climate movement, which I'm a part, advocated for both. We were advocating
the Committee for Climate Change spent very little time on adaptation. If you look at what they've been writing and putting out there,
I've been listening
the focus has been on mitigation, trying to stop the climate from increasing temperatures.
I've listened to Lady Brown repeatedly issuing reports about how we need to adapt. She produced reports about the railway industry, the water industry, the food industry, the housing industry. And you say we failed. Yes, we have. I cried this week watching the weather go above 36 because we have failed.
Come on,
in the 1970s, we were told, the oil company scientists, in the 1970s, two things happened in the 70s. I'm old enough to remember, my grey hair and my baldness. We were told two things. We were told if we didn't, the climate scientists for the oil company said if we don't act, we would start damaging the climate. We wouldn't notice it till the noughties. It would start kicking in the 20s and disaster in the 40s. That was one thing we were told in the 70s. We didn't act. The other thing that happened in the 70s was the oil crisis from the Israeli Middle East crises. That we were told that if we didn't move away from our addiction on oil, we would face repeated economic shocks. The last one cost us £100 billion. We haven't acted. We failed. But we should now listen and act.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That's a sort of pessimistic way to look at it, but ultimately,
it's my experience.
We have the ability to live in deserts now. I mean, the people are living in parts of the world that would not have been habitable before the advent of air conditioning. Is there a part of you that thinks, should we just go all in on adaptation? Because clearly, I mean, we've done a lot to reduce our carbon emissions. We've reduced them more than any G20 country compared to 1990 levels.
Yeah, we've got a heat wave.
The problem is, few of the other countries have followed us in our radical carbon cutting agenda.
There are countries that are way beyond us. For example, Spain and other countries are actually 100% renewable energy. We haven't tackled transport, we haven't tackled agriculture, we haven't tackled aviation. What we have done here, well, is we've done the electricity emissions. But when you talk about adaptation and living in deserts, you're absolutely right. With air conditioning, you can live anywhere. But you can't air condition every single field on the planet. The real thing I worry about is food. The Welsh Farmers Union, which I've debated quite a few times, they're not the most progressive organisation, I would say, in the world. They're quite conservative with small c. They say they cannot guarantee future food stability. Because of the variation in the weather.
Up. I mean, we've had a lot of worry about this, and yet every single year the world produces more and more food. Even though it's getting hotter, yields are going up, fertiliser is being produced, technology advances, we're going to be doing vertical farming and all sorts.
You will look at the rice industry, the wheat industry, the cocoa industry, the chocolate industry. All of them, the olive oil industry, all experiencing problems and challenges. Significant amount of the inflation already in our food inflation. One is the cost of oil is hammering our food costs, but also the damage from the climate. If you get floods and you get overheat, it's really, really problem.
Just quickly then, on the
thing that's most worrying for us.
To circle back to the start of this conversation, you as a climate change campaigner and a fervent one at that, would say to these councils that are telling people to rip out their air conditioning that they're stuck in a decade that has long since passed?
They were stuck in the early part of this decade. When the advice... You do advice every 10 years. At the beginning of this decade, it made sense. But there is a slight positive here. The billionaire press tax air source heat pumps all the time. An air-to-air heat pump does air conditioning and heating.
Yeah.
And so therefore, for the same investment, we get two, and those, they can all run on green energy. So in the future, that's what we need to be doing.
I don't think I'd be allowed to put a heat pump on my flat.
No.
No.
Well, maybe collectively you could do it on the roof.
Flat dwellers are going to really suffer with the lack of air conditioning.
Although New York gets by in a much hotter climate than us, and a much colder climate.
Anyway, spokesperson... Thank you, Donica.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. A spokesperson for Sir Sadiq said the rules helped keep homes cooler without relying on energy-intensive solutions, adding that local planning decisions are the responsibility of the boroughs, who have their own policies in place.
Now, moving on, David Beckham. He had fans talking during Scotland's World Cup clash with Brazil, but not for anything happening on the pitch.
The former England captain was spotted on the BBC coverage in the stands in Florida with what fans are now calling a fishbowl of red wine, despite the sweltering 30-degree heat.
Well, joining us now is the sports broadcaster Chris Scudder. Chris, we'll get to the scores on the doors and the actual football on the pitch in a second, but red wine at a football match?
Yeah, well, it's Bex, isn't it? He can do what he wants. All the celebs are lining up in those expensive seats. You've seen so many of them at this tournament. But it looked like the equivalent of a yard of ale, didn't it, in a goldfish bowl of wine? That's a lot of red wine, but especially in that heat as well. But he's there. Listen, don't knock Bex, because he's, of all the Englishmen who tried to end the many years of hurt, he was the one who tried the hardest, I always thought. And I always remember when he gave up, when England got knocked out of the 2006 World Cup in Germany, and he resigned as captain, and he gave a speech and just burst into tears. It was quite something. I mean, I've got a lot of time for David Beckham. He's a great man, and he's there flying the flag. Good luck to him.
Oh yeah, but we can tease him a little bit. It is an odd sight seeing someone drinking a very large glass of red wine by the pitch, because in England you're not allowed to drink in sight of the pitch. So even if you're in hospitality, they close the blinds so that you're not in view of the action.
That's a crazy rule.
Yeah.
They don't have that rule at the rugby.
No, they don't.
It's America. Come on, they're doing it their way. I'll tell you what's really interesting. That if you go on social media, you've got so many Americans coming on there and saying, we should have it every time because we are showing the world how it should be done. I mean, they're great for the consumer, aren't they? But, you know, I mean, they're a bit deluded when it comes to being the kings of football, let's be honest. But they are saying, you know, that, and they're quite right in some respects, that the fans who are going there are like quite wide-eyed about what you can do in America and, you know, drink, do what you want and all the rest of it. So, yeah, but we'll see. And the sport's still to come, the best bit.
Now, Chris, of course, David Beckham was watching the Scotland game while he was sipping his fishbowl of red wine. And Scotland didn't perform very well, though they were up against a very good side. But there's still a chance they could advance.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I think it's not going to happen. And it's also interesting that a lot of the Scottish fans, and they have been, let's be honest about this, they have been the most colourful set of fans out there. Them and the Dutch, sensation. I think, probably. They've been brilliant. That first game against Haiti, when they sang Flower of Scotland and on the shores of the Loch Lomond, the bonny banks of Loch Lomond, that was absolutely incredible stuff. But I think they all realise now that, you know, if they were to go through, having been really not great so far on the pitch, it wouldn't be quite right. I think it's the best way to go out now. But as things stand, they're 7th out of the 8 teams who finished 3rd that can make it. But the trouble is, there's teams below them who are probably going to pick up points. I've just been looking at the fixtures. Belgium, who are below them in that 3rd place group at the moment, they're playing New Zealand in the last game, and you probably expect them to win that. And if that happens, they'll go above Scotland. And there's only Cape Verde, I think, who have been doing okay. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you never really hear about New Zealand football, do you? It's,
no, you don't.
Sports people go into the rugby.
Chris, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much for your time, sports broadcaster Chris Scudder there. Yeah, at least the Scots they've improved their PR around the world.
Oh, absolutely. And there is not a single statue in Boston left without a cone on its head.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up. Yes, we've officially broken the hottest day in June on record again, have we? Gosh.
Wow, 2 for 2. Well, yes, the Met Office has recorded 36.4 degrees Celsius in Somerset.
Oh, that's a bit hot. And if that's not hot enough for you, here's the forecast for Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of 1 or 2 showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. More chance of 1 or 2 showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by 2 hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of like the bigger
gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, like, average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon. Britain has just gone 10 to 3. Now, astonishing new Home Office figures have revealed more than 50,000 illegal migrants and foreign criminals have gone missing in Britain.
Yes, joining us now is political commentator and former SNP member Stuart Crawford. Stuart, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I mean, how do so many people just vanish from the Home Office?
Well, I mean, it's anybody's guess, I suppose. And I really don't have any handle on how that might happen, except they cannot be properly documented. And if they're coming across the channel, some of them are, or arriving at our airports and ports, having disposed of their passports and claiming political asylum, then it's quite difficult to keep track of these people. Up here in Scotland, of course, Glasgow has got the greatest number of immigrants of any city in the UK. And that has a considerable impact on my home city.
What do you make of this proposal from the SNP that all migrants who have limited leave to remain will be permitted to stand for election as councillors next year? That's not on, is it?
Well, to use the technical term, I think it's completely bonkers, but it is the law up here. And it's the law is about to be amended, as you probably know, to close the loophole that allows foreign nationals to stand for election in Scotland, but not immigrants from the Commonwealth countries, which is manifestly unfair. And so that is going to be changed. But the whole idea that people can come here and on limited student visa or something like that is absolutely bonkers. I think the background to that from the SNP's perspective is that there is a perception, or indeed there is some considerable evidence, that younger people are much more likely to vote for Scottish independence than older people. It's a sort of paraphrase of the old phrase, if you're not a communist in your teens, you have no soul. If you're still a communist in your 40s, you have no sense. Yeah. And younger people who have fewer responsibilities are much more likely to vote for Scottish independence, and that suits the SNP down to the ground.
Right, OK. Well, Stuart Crawford, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. I mean, short but sweet. But thanks indeed for joining us, political commentator, of course.
I mean, that's the way to bring in, proper corruption, really.
Well, we've got to say that GB News have contacted the Home Office for a reply. We're still waiting for a response. Previously, they said that under the previous government, removals failed to keep pace with arrivals. Conservatives stopped asylum decision-making as they pursued their failed Rwanda plan. Well, that's it from us here on Good Afternoon Britain. Thanks indeed for being with us. But of course, Martin Daubney takes the baton next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas. So it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast. But for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening, more cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
From the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio